Well, for the last time this weekend, we are doing Formula Endurance, and it is Portimao, round number 3 of season 1 of this brand new tier in RPL. How about a brand new year to kick things off in 2024? 2 races done already this weekend, 2 fantastic and chaotic ones, some with last lap overtakes with the leaders, some not so much throughout the rest of the field. Lots of action we've had so far this weekend. Let's continue it in Portimao. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. Glad to have you all join us. And I am joined today by a Tier 2 driver from that first race of 2024, and J&T Gaming doing a one-off. Welcome along.
Hi, I'm J&T. I commentated a couple years ago. It went pretty well. I think you guys kind of ignored me for a couple years. Now I'm back, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. I was glad to see you return. I think it was Qatar last season you returned for the
Yeah, that
first
was the
time
only
since
race
season
I got
5,
points in.
Tier
That
2.
was cool.
Yeah. And, you and Alfa Romeo teammate Gecko both had a lot of good pace from Tier 2 as well in Japan, which was very nice to see. So you guys started
Yeah,
off this weekend
yeah.
quite well.
It was fun to see that, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really expect it out of me to do that. I'm really proud of Gecko for getting that big result on Friday. I think showing that he could do that in that car really bodes well for us and the constructors, I think. So really hope to see those performances continue, and I hope that I won't lose it in a points position again.
Yeah, a lot of things to go over when it comes to RPL so far this weekend. We had Tier 2 kick off things at Japan, and it was really most of the time a race between Bonkers and Owen, and Centrix making his debut was also up there as well, and he had some good pace, he had some good showing, and he got crashed, went outside the points, went outside the top 15 in fact, and recovered almost to finish on the podium where, as you had said, Gecko held on. So yeah, Bonkers, Owen, last lap overtake there. Another last lap overtake between Cookie and Korsman. Some questionable things there between Cookie and the pit lane, and some stuff that guys are submitting that some are talking about being a little over dramatized, but either way, the stewards will figure that out midweek on whether or not it's a fair submission or not by reviewing the clip. Either way, Cookie did win. Q2 in qualifying for Baku was absolutely insane. We had 2 of the big teams go out. We had a Mercedes and a McLaren go out. Scyther, a very unusual mistake by him crashing, and TB just didn't get the lap he needed and was out in a wet session. Luckily, we don't have multiple qualifying sessions to try to tackle things here today because Formula Endurance is a short qualifying session and, of course, in the name, Endurance, 100% race.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how these guys continue to learn how to do these 100% races, because obviously it's a challenge. It's a big challenge for these guys to have that mental focus for the whole race, be dialed in, learn how to work with decreased tire wear from what they're used to. It's very interesting, I think, with this series that it's like this because it offers a new aspect of some drivers' skill set that I think they can use, and I think it's really cool to see that.
I think the good thing as well is that it also helps drivers for Tier 2 or Tier 1 and work on their racecraft a little bit. I also think the fact that they can honestly figure out, like, there's some guys in here that need to improve their racecraft or just, survive 100% races better in here. I think of names like Valkyrie. She needs to do a little bit of a better job being consistent. She made a return to Mercedes in Tier 2 and did a little bit better herself, which was very nice. That showed that the change with her and Wavy that Beatnik made was the correct one. Um, as for Invade was one who maybe could be at risk of losing his seat down the line because of poor performances, and he crashed out in Japan as well in Tier 2, and he needs to find some form, and why not do a 100% race this weekend to try to get that form back, get some momentum, and this will surely help some drivers. I mean, we don't go here in Tier 2, I believe, but we definitely go here in Tier 1. We race all the 26 races on the game cycle, in this 10th season of RPL in Tier 1 as Owen has joined us. With that being said, it does help a driver, surely. It may not be the same track, JNT, but I'm sure for a driver like yourself, you know very well that you can surely learn something here today and apply it to next week or whenever we go here next too.
Absolutely. I think it really helps just getting some more experience under your belt, having to drive in the game for basically double a race length. I think that really helps you just build confidence in whatever car you're driving, in your ability to be consistent over not only a race length but double a race length. I think that really helps you as a driver.
The thing is, too, is there's some guys in different cars than usual. We'll go over that now, then get to the standings during the session. Jack Miles is in an Alfa Romeo. He's usually in a Ferrari in Tier 1. He's in a Alfa Romeo full-time in this tier. As for others, we have Bunkers reserving. Zatsy, I believe, is usually in an Aston Martin in this tier, but remember, in Tier 2, he's in a Williams. As for others, Kipu's on loan. Red Fire, instead of being in Haas, is in Alfa Romeo. We've got Gecko in Ferrari. He's only made one Ferrari start, as I'm aware, the last couple of races in any of the tiers. This tier being the main one, though, compared to his usual Alfa Romeo. Lennon, who's in a Ferrari in Tier 2 and a Haas here. And Owen has retired from the session because he has lagged out, so that's another issue for him. He's usually in a Mercedes for Tier 2 as well. Beatnik's usually in a Williams. He's in a Aston. Shanghai's on loan. Invade and Williams usually in Aston. And the other big one is Skiz, the first driver out on track right now, making his RPL debut. He's likely going to be the first one across the line, and we're going to go on a hot lap with him. But your first lap in the league, your first weekend in the league, your first event. J&T, you've been through that yourself a couple seasons ago. Actually, a couple years ago, many seasons ago now. What are you thinking if you're Skiz as a driver here making your debut? What are you going to try to do to impress the stream? Do you just sit here, do a good banker lap, or do you go all out in that first lap here? Anything to lose?
I think honestly, if you're him, you're just trying to get a lap in. You're trying to do the best you can, keep it clean, not invalidate, show that you can keep in the track limits and still set a somewhat representable lap time. And I think for the race, I think you just kind of need to stay consistent. I think you need to keep yourself out of trouble, even if that means staying in the back, staying out of trouble, getting no limiting penalties. Just being an overall clean driver, I think, is what is really going to be looked at here for someone in an AlphaTauri like him.
All right, well, he's going to come to the final corner, and we're going to cover this lap. Migrating host, are we getting an issue? Jack Miles has left the session. Let's make sure there's no restart. There's just a glitch. Are you getting the same thing?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
It's happened to others, too, apparently.
What? Oh, my God. This is hilarious. This looks hilarious.
It's trying to find a new host while there's cars off the track. Yeah, we're restarting. Scrap that about laps.
Everyone drifting into the gravel simultaneously is amazing.
Well, if you saw the RPL out of context moments on the YouTube, I'm sure that's going to go in there eventually.
Oh, this is definitely going to go in that. This is awesome.
It's game glitches like those that, you know, aren't the most funniest moments, but are just so out of pocket, and it's so funny to just
This is really freaking weird. Q1 just restarted, and I'm in the lobby still. That's
it's so weird.
Wild.
Usually with Owen leaving like that, it would only retire his car and not have any issues, but it caused way more issues after that, which is very unusual. So, yeah, I will say, I really hope this doesn't become like F122, and you might remember where at the end of the game cycle, the glitches just got really, really bad, and got worse. I think the glitches are better in this game, but obviously they're still present, like we just saw, of course, so no surprise.
The thing that really confuses me is that they added when you lag out of a session, you retire. That doesn't make any sense to me as a game developer.
Well, yeah.
I didn't even know when that happened. I didn't know that was a thing until I was in the league race like last week. I saw it happen. I was like, what's going on? Does your AI hit the pit wall? And it's like, no, that's just a new feature now.
Well, it did it to Gecko in the Tier 1 race yesterday. I think it did it to someone in Tier 2 as well. Yes, it was Ferrari it did it to, who was having issues joining back. So, yeah, maybe Tadpole as well, I think, was another one. But, yeah, session no longer exists. Okay, I'm going to have to rejoin again. Either way, yeah, let's go over the driver standings here. while we're at it, this is a perfect time to do that for those of you still tuning in. Apologies for this. Invade says fun. I agree, it is tons of fun. Sarcastically, of course. We've got Be Good leading the championship for Formula Endurance by 1 point over Cam. Then you got Skither in third place, 5 points behind. The Fig TB is fourth. Obviously, they won podium last week in a fastest lap. Or 1 point in Britain. I don't remember which one it was, but 19 points to his name, 7 back. Lennon, thank you by the way for the invite, Gecko. I'll get everyone else sorted. Lennon, 8 points back. That rounds out the top 5, so 2 rounds complete. Close top 5 for sure. Yes, it is possible to join to answer your question in the chat. I will get you a Discord link in just a moment. While we talk about the standings, let's talk about some teams who are a little bit not in the comfort zone right now and some who are. Ferrari leading, Mercedes second by 14 points back. You got McLaren who are behind them. Alpine not too far behind them as well. Had a really good chances to be in contention for 2 wins and actually win them, but stuff did not go their way. Aston Martin P5, and the big shocker of them all, Red Bull is sitting P8 with only 6 points.
That is surprising, I'm going to be honest. I expected better out of Red Bull a couple of races, and it just hasn't been there for them, which I'm really surprised by, considering how well that car runs.
And not only that, but what we've seen in other tiers as well. We've seen a lot of drivers who go in Red Bull who may not be the fastest can at least get a good finish out of it, but this season they've not been able to do that. I think last week in Zandvoort, to recap everything, I know Cam won, Scyther was second, and TB was up there as well, and by the way, a good finish from Shanghai, who I gave driver of the day to for Williams, a good P7, P8 finish, but the big thing in that race that I can recall with the mixed conditions was the fact that we had drivers crash from the lead twice, and it was one that was hard for people to keep on the road and just keep their mindset straight. So, you know, it's really crazy to think about that sort of thing and go to the next race in Portimao where it is easy to lose it, I would say here. You've got turn 8, which is Samsung Corner. Funny name, I guess you could say. And then you've got turn 9, which is very easy on old tire wear. More easier to lose it on the last game. Turn 5 can be hard to get the power down, of course. Turn 4 can be hard to race side by side. Turn 2, you clip that curb and you're going spinning. And just some of these corners on traction can really actually be tricky for these drivers more than you think. So if we do see a spin from the lead, would it be shocking? No, but it's not as common as it used to be, though, for sure, here in RPL. However, the fact that it happened twice last week is something we'll have to watch out for if there's any rain in tonight's event.
I think rain would really spice this race up, because some of the corners you really don't have the traction that you need even on dry, so on wets, it's going to be really hard to put the power down. Especially in Gallup turn 15. On older tires, sliding around, having to work the throttle, trying to get traction down off the final corner. That'd be pretty fun to watch, in my opinion.
I mean, we ended up racing a race here. Maybe, I don't remember if you might have crashed out early. You remember IFRC when we raced with our good friend Lando Norris, who used to be in RPL. I was battling him on the restart in the wet, and it really seemed like, you know, obviously following somebody is really tricky in the wet here, but you're gonna have to really be really good on the brakes if it does rain at some parts of the race here, like it did last week in Zandvoort, because there's a good chance around here. You're gonna have to really dive it in corners like turn 5 and even turn 3. You know, that's where you're gonna have to pick your braking points just right to make some of these moves for, you know, what will be crucial overtakes. Even if it's dry or not, even if it's raining or not, or if it's dry, you still need to pick your braking points just right. But it seems like it's always a lot harder to in the wet, and it was whenever I battled Lando in that race, as you may remember.
Mm,
It was the one with the glitch
yes.
safety car. You might
Which
remember
one?
that.
There's a lot of glitch safety cars.
The one with Portimao. It was, I think, because there were 2 people who were in there that weren't supposed to be that time.
I remember one where it was Inters at the end. I remember that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if that's the same one or not. But I will say this track, you know, was a you can call it DLC maybe. A couple games ago on F121, and now with it being in the game as a DLC full time, you really do wonder what leagues will run this. What kind of practice should I put in this? Not everyone does this track, but it is a very smoothing, detailed track when you do run it. You can easily hop over curbs the wrong way, of course. You can easily end up spinning, and tire wear is tough. We've seen some really good races here in RPL, let alone just league racing in general since this track has been introduced. And now we finally go into short qualifying after that restart.
Maybe, potentially.
Who knows? Never know after that shenanigan there earlier on.
You never know with this game.
It's always tough because I really hate seeing the glitches like that. I feel like it did get better this game, but of
It
course when
was. No, it's not.
yeah, it's not fully there yet though, which I'm hoping whenever 24 does come out, it can change a little bit. Are my hopes too high? I don't know, but let's get into qualifying. Let's talk about this circuit a little more. We've got 15 turns around here, and
Yes.
same drivers as previously before in that session, still staying here, and we're into short qualifying, and we'll get on board with hot laps and talk about the circuit. By the way, there is 2 DRS zones, one on the run to turn 1, one on the run to turn 5, and probably your best overtaking points in this race.
Probably down the main straight,
And
I'd say.
yeah, that's a fat DRS zone with how long it is. It's a really good overtaking opportunity for our drivers tonight here. So, by the way, for those curious, RPL has a transfer window. The transfer window is open as of after last night's race in Tier 1. And we've seen some changes throughout some tiers. So those of you who are waiting on hearing those hearing the news and don't want to wait any longer on some of the changes, well, here you go. We'll get it in before we get some outlaps going, as Zatsy's the first one to get out on track. Here are the changes that you need to know about before next week's race in Miami Tier 1. Luke has had his contract for Mercedes terminated under mutual agreement. He'll remain as reserve. Same with Barney for Mercedes Academy as well. The Chiller, TP clause activated. His contracts have been terminated. He goes to the Aston Martin now, Mercedes Academy, meaning Reece Dainty takes over at Red Bull. Lewis Piper traded to the Alpine Academy, and Be Good being shipped to the Mercedes Academy. Then you have, after Reece Dainty's little debacle there with the Ferrari Academy, now Barney goes over to Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari Academy to find his pieces finally and go full-time. Minico, also another swap deal. He's gone from the Ferrari Academy to the Mercedes Academy. And the one other change as well that we should be being aware of is Wiseau for Haas. He is full-time once again in RPL. And for those of you waiting on that, you don't have to wait any longer. We now have our first driver on lap. It's Valkyrie IF1. How about you take it away, JNT?
Get to her. Down into turn 1, gotta really clip that curve. She thinks she clipped it a little too much. Looks like she really mounted over it. Down through turn 3, you really gotta try and put as much power as you can down up the hill. And she gets it pretty much spot on. As you go down into the hairpin, you can really abuse the throttle in second gear out of here. And she does a little bit underdone, but I think it's pretty serviceable. Now here through sector 2, this is the section that you really need to get right. Full throttle, 7th gear through here, and then up. Really got to try and put the power down, and she gets a bit wrong in 3rd gear. You should be using 4th through there. I don't know what this corner name is, but it's the really sweeping corner. You got to take the exit in 4th gear. Got to try and put as much power down as you can. It's like a roller coaster ride here as we hit the end of sector 2. Very crucial section to get right. lower speed corners, now into a mid-speed corner. Gonna try and get on the power as early as you can, and she does a great job of that. No invalidation, no running wide. As we go through curve 15, run down to the line and see what this lap is.
Backing off a little
Backing
bit.
off a little bit.
There you go.
Zatsy
There's
17.3,
the first.
Valkyrie 18.2. Couple mistakes on that lap, but for parts of it, saw pretty good remnants of pretty good pace there. Gecko
Gecko as
smashes it
well.
with a 16.2.
Trying to think of who else is going to start a lap or get to a lap now. We've got Lennon up in front of that. Lennon is starting a lap now. I'll go through the first couple corners, then I'll give it to you after turn 4 here. DRS applied on the run toward turn 1. Get toward 200 miles per hour. Doubt you're going to reach it here. Maybe you'll kind of get lucky. But either way, turn 1. Be on the inside curb. Don't touch the yellow part, though. Get to the outside one. Same thing here. And then kind of have a variety of lines for turn 3. Turn 4 is the same way. You can go far right and then left and sweep it. But Lennon didn't do that so much and now applies DRS now at the end of the sector.
22.2 for the first sector. It's all you really need to be confident on the power here. It takes it in third gear, which hurts his rotation a little bit. You saw a little bit lazy on that exit. Let's see how much commitment he gets through this section. Looked pretty good to me. Clipped the apex well. Didn't get any rear traction loss. Looked pretty good. Let's see. Now through here. Can he get the power down? Little bit wide there, little bit wide, but he keeps it clean enough going into sector 3. Clipping the apexes pretty much perfectly through there. Third gear up, short shift in the fourth, taking a little bit wide, but keeping the minimum speed as high as he can through turn 15. Didn't really keep it as tight as he may have needed there on the run up to the line. 17.7 for Lennon, not too bad at all.
Well, there you have it. With some of the first runs, some people still getting in some of those. And the next one to cross the line to get in a first run will be Owen 37. He had a good showing in the opening round of the season, but last week it was just treacherous. In Zandvoort, he comes across the line now, do the same thing as we did before. DRS down to turn 1, 8th gear as well, trying to get toward 200. He might just barely reach it, and 199, 200, there we go. So he did get 200. And now, turn 1 we go to. You see not as much inside curb, but kind of opening out the car to do everything he can with it in terms of speed. Not as far right to kind of skew himself to the inside there, but now to turn 5, he's got himself up beautifully for sector 2, 22-0.
22-0. That looked like a really strong sector one to me. Very smart on the power. Starting in second gear, short shifting to third. Great commitment through these corners, down to third gear, trying to be a little risky, gets on the power early, looking really nice in that Aston Martin as we go through sector 2. Bit of traffic messing up his line in there. It's really going to compromise him through sector 2. That puts him very wide out on the curb. That is not where you want to be going into sector 3. Little bit of oversteer on the exit, using second gear, not really recommended through there. Really early on the power though, using as much as the track as he can on the exit. You gotta really get as close to the curb as possible. Does not take as tight of a line there on the run up to the line. 17.283. Not too bad of a lap. Ahead of his teammate Zatsy.
That's good that he's ahead of his teammate. Maybe that's what he needed. Next up is a McLaren. I think that's Haunted. And nope, he's not the one starting a lap. It is Valk behind that. We'll go on board with her again. It was a scrappy first lap, but here we go. DRS applied, 202 this time, so she was up compared to last time on the speed. Again, just a lot more cleaner here, but she's got tons of traffic in front, hopping over the yellow curb, and now she's got a car in front of her at turn 4. That's going to distract her a lot. You can see sliding the rear now. Down the battery she goes, 22-1, a little bit off Owen, but that means she's improving because she's up 2/10. Now turn 5 curb, I'll keep it here a little bit and then give it over to you in a little bit as the Aston Martin in front of her is going to have to get out of the way at some point. And now towards Samsung corner. If you spin here on traction right here and you go spinning around to that inside barrier, you will be disqualified, so you got to be careful with that.
I didn't know that. That's actually freaking crazy. As we go through Portimao, here, taking fourth gear, looked pretty good to me, better than her other lap, I must say. 5/10 up for her as we go through Sector 3. Braking on the curb, though, that's not what you want to do. Goes very, very wide. Clips the apex down here. Might still be able to get some time out of this lap, but not ideal for Valkyrie, as her first 2 runs are very suboptimal.
Well, Scyther, fastest for McLaren now. Valk is going to come across the line P12. And 6/10 off Beatnik, it looks to be. Actually, 7 to be exact. Who else do we have on a lap? How about Skiz? You know, we're going back and forth with everybody on laps. By the way, if you want to tune into the other action for the other tiers, next week we're in Tier 2 for Singapore and F1 in Miami. Turn 1, 202 miles per hour for Skiz. And obviously a lap set so far that was slowest of everybody, but not too far behind Bulgogi. As you can see, a car in front getting out of the way. That's the McLaren in the runoff. A little bit of a tank slapper there for Skiz. I don't know if he's backing off. Yes, he is now. I think that may have caught him out a little bit. So surely that's why. And now I'll give it to you for the first couple corners with Zatsy.
Zatsy and his Aston Martin opening DRS to start the lap. Let's see what top speed is in his Aston Martin. Running with quite a bit more downforce than I've seen. 321 Ks leading up to turn 1. Looks pretty clean through there. Down into turn number 3. You got to really get it wide to try and get the best line you can through turn 4, I believe that is. Opening DRS, 22-0, matching his teammate through Sector 1. Really aggressive on the turn-in through, what is that, Tory Vip? I gotta remember that. Now through Sector
6,
2.
7, 8 here now.
Trying to hold it wide open in 7th gear. Does that. Takes a lot of inside curb. Trying to get a bit of a tighter exit, which he does accomplish. Now going through Portimao up into 8th gear, which is going to hurt the straight line speed a little bit, but it keeps it very clean through there. Really nice on the exit, about 2/10 up. That would put him P8 right now as we go through Sector 3. Little bit of rear locking, but keeps the car going straight. Now I really need to get the power down. Does really, really nicely, at least from what I saw. Now through Galp, turn 15, and the run up to the line. Shifts into 8th gear a little early. Looks like he bogged down a little bit, and it will be a 17-1 as he loses a little bit of time through Sector 3, but still manages to get that P8 in that Aston Martin.
The previous RPL owner ends up doing a decent time to improve a little bit. I don't think he's going to go much faster, but he's at least keeping 8th place, which is just all you can ask for. You know what that final corner, turn 15, is called? Galp corner.
Galp.
It's Galp. Yeah. I never really knew that till the last time I
I
commentated
didn't know
at
it until
Portimao the
10
last
minutes
time.
ago.
I have to. Yeah, that's fair enough, man. We got Grandpa invalidated the outlap and now on a lap for Red Bull. Obviously, the last 2 weeks, he's had some really good pace, but cannot convert it. You can see exactly why Red Bull is on 6 points because of that.
Very
but now
aggressive turn.
sliding
That was
and going
way
around.
too early. He's going to go around.
Just pushing a little too much. Little too much. The Alfa Romeo of Jack goes faster. P8 for him, a good performance right there. I'm trying to see who the next one across the line is.
Bonkers is... Oh, no, he's not on the lap.
Yeah, Beatnik goes 4th. Bonkers, you're right, is not on a lap, unless he's just really slow through Sector 1. Trying to see now. Shanghai's backed off. Shanghai did
Eoin
improve.
is
Owen
on a
is
lap,
on time.
trying to improve.
Yeah, you're right.
Through Sector 2.
You're right about that.
Through
Go ahead.
Portimao. Gets it a lot better than he did last lap, although he does get it a bit crossed up. But he's going to gain some time on the exit from keeping it a little bit cleaner. Very sharp on the turn in. Really gets some nice rotation through Sector 3. Can he get the power down on the exit? Yes, he can. Very, very early. Runs it way wide using all of the track. Through Gallup now, turn 15. He's going to keep it kind of tight. Not really, though. On the exit run up to the line. It's going to be a much better lap. 16-9 from him as he goes peanut.
Well, right around the teammate. That's all you could ask for, right? You got to be near your teammate sometimes in RPL. That's for sure. The Mercedes crosses the line. It's Valko on board with her again because she was the closest one to cross the line. So, a little bit down on the time compared to Beatnik, but I think this lap she can find it. She's done 2 laps previously. The first one was a little bit of a struggle. The second one was a little bit better, but the track's evolving, and you need to evolve with your teammate as well, because if she doesn't, she's going to end up a second behind him. And good friend Beatnik can see that her teammate is improving by 77,000, says his team or her teammate, Beatnik. He is in the pit lane. So, turn 6, 7, and 8 here. Just some sweeping corners before you get to the sweepiest of them all.
Oh,
Inside
really
curve, you don't want to touch that. You
curve.
just slide way too much doing that.
It is a tricky corner to get right. If you turn in just a little bit too early, you're going to get that sausage curve. Get it all crossed up on the exit.
Yeah. How about we go to Gecko, by the way, who has won races in Tier 1 RPL. I believe he's got either a pole or a podium here in one of the first ever Portimao races ran. Scyther, who's leading the charge, a champion in Tier 1 and F2, someone who Gecko's looking to take off the top of the board. How about you take it away, JNT, now? 7th gear here through the last corner. Gallop.
Gecko, Ferrari, this is a big, big lap that we're going to be on board with. And as you can see, I think Gecko's running a little bit more downforce as he's only hitting 319Ks in the turn 1 in the Ferrari. Really, really, really on the edge through turn 1. Might have lost a little time. Very aggressive on the turn in through turn 3. Down in the 2nd gear all the way on the run up to turn 4. Really nice on the power. End of sector 1. Sector 1 split 21-8. Purple 3/10 up. That would put him pole. But he gets on the sausage curve through turn 5. That's going to lose him some, maybe a lot of time, as he's going to back off.
That does actually surprise me that he'd back off there and still not try to go for a better one, so surely he's thinking there's a lot more better. Here's Scyther for turn 1, your current pole sitter right now, provisional pole. How about the amount of wins and poles he's had in each tier? 21 poles in F1 Tier 1, 24 wins in F1 Tier 1, and you can say for certain that he's good around this circuit, though, because it's around the time he came in the league that the circuit was debuted. Either way, Scyther improving in the first sector, purple's there. No mistakes to where he's having to back off, unlike Gecko. So this is the good thing for him. He can finally figure out, this may be my last lap, or if I have enough fuel, I can recharge for more. He's absolutely pushing the boundaries here as he gets to turn 8, Samsung corner. And now to the sweeping section here of turn 9, turn 10, and on to 11 soon. When you get to the end of the sector, you're just trying to find what line can I take that's going to help me improve some time, but he is not improving, though. He's only down by just a little bit.
Looking like he's matching pretty much what he did on his previous lap. One good thing for him, though, is that his Sector 1, even though Gecko was 3/10 up on his lap, his Sector 1 is still 1/10 better than Gecko's was. Let's see what this lap is on the run up to the line. 16-1, 24 thousandths off. But it might not all be lost. Gecko 21-8 in the first sector, 2.5 tenths up, but not up on Scyther's time. And Gecko's out of ERS. This lap, I don't think it'll be an improvement. You'll have to really push. 3/10 up middle sector. This is going to be a heartbreak for him. He's going to lose it all probably on the run up to the line.
Well, hopefully he doesn't lose too much of it because he's 2.5 tenths up on his time. Here comes HSR Gecko, who has had poles in RPL previously. He had a really good start to the weekend in Japan for Tier 2. Now as he comes across the line, what's it going to be with no battery? Not enough. Not enough for HSR Gecko, who was on a really good lap, by the way, and had a podium here in Tier 1 in Season 5. I'm going board with one final hot lap here, or one driver finishing their hot lap. How about Hunted? And then we'll get to everybody crossing the line to complete laps. Purple, 4/10 up, and you got a lot of traffic behind that. Look at the amount of cars behind there. That is absolutely treacherous. Hunted with a little bit of a wiggle. That's going to affect him a little bit. Either way, here he comes now with just a couple bits remaining. You're going to have DRS applied in a moment. Battery just pretty much drained. He's going to have none of it and going to run out here to the line. DRS will be applied, but can Hunted at least improve toward the front row? Oh, he's going to be second row, so that's at least good enough for him and the McLaren to get that team and that academy for Alpine. 1-3. Here we go. Cars crossing the line now. Let's make sure everyone makes it to the line. Grandpa Will Beatnik's got a tow from the Mercedes. What's this going to do down the straight? I want to see if this will help the Mercedes top speed because they are one of the slowest cars in the straight line.
This is going to be huge slipstream. Huge slipstream.
This is insane.
Huge.
205. 207. We haven't seen a single driver hit it.
At the end of the straight. That is huge.
Wow.
About 14 Ks faster than I saw Gecko do on his run down to turn 1. This is going to be a big sector 1 from Beatnik.
Aston Martin of Owen goes 7th fastest. Checker flag is waving. You had the Alfa Romeo across the line of Red Fire Tiger. Here we go with everyone else across the line. HSR Gecko out. Not gonna be enough for him. That is it from him. Skiz, slowest of them all. Can he at least avoid that? Yes. Passes Blue Goggy in that. Next is the Red Bull. The next chance for pole. Is it gonna be Bonkers? No, he aborts the lap. So nothing else from him. And in his return to RPL since going to uni has not been the one he would have wanted. Next across the line, Jack Miles. He's done really well in the Alfa Romeo. He's actually matching what he previously did in the sectors, so he's going to back off of that. Next up, AlphaTauri Bulgogi. Likely not going to be a chance for pole. Valkyrie obviously backed off as well, but McLaren is next of Hunted. Hunted obviously already completed a lap, so that's it. Grandpa next for pole. He's already had one this season. Can he take another one? No, but he is within closing distance. Next across the line, we've got some others. Beatnik could improve, but he couldn't improve any places. Next for any positions to gain would have been Shanghai and Wavy, but they're all aborting those laps. So the pole position is going to go to Skither here for McLaren. And in fact, even in RPL Tier 1, he's never had a pole, but he's had a podium, so at least he's got one here now at Portimao in at least one of the tiers in F1 cars.
Very impressive from Scyther. I saw he was running a bit of a lower downforce setup, and it would be definitely would be hurting him through the middle sector, and yet he still gets pole ahead of a Ferrari of Gecko, who is a very fast driver. So very nice job, I think, from Scyther there to get pole.
How about 3 different teams in that top 3? Another thing as well is we saw a lot of drivers have some great pace, but they couldn't execute it fully in this session due to either running out of battery, traffic, whatever the case may be.
No real standout results this qualifying session, I'll have to say.
Maybe the Aston Martins? Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
EON P7 ahead of a Ferrari.
It to be. Yeah. I mean, maybe Cam's the disappointment. Obviously, we didn't mention he retired during the session. Valk as well. Not so good for Mercedes. I expected her to be better, but maybe she's just not good around the circuit. I know she said she ran out of battery. We'll find out what the case is during the race. Here's your qualifying order. Scyther with a 16-0, Gecko, then Grandpa, Haunted, and Beatnik round out the top 5. Big surprises with both Aston Martins in the top 10. I would say that's a surprise to me, at least considering the others around them. Jack as well, good showing for Alfa Romeo. Disappointment though, I'd say Bonkers and Cam, 2 of them at least for me. Kipu, the only runner who did not get in a lap though.
I don't know why Cam retired. Maybe he ran out of fresh soft tires. I saw he did 3 laps on softs. I don't know if they were different sets or if he ran out of tires or what, but I feel like he did throw away maybe 1 good lap there at the end.
Well, it is cloudy. I did not hear any drivers talking about rain, so I doubt that's the case. If it isn't, I expect it to stop around here. If it's a 1 stop, it's likely going to be something like medium hard or hard medium. So yeah, we'll find out what the case is. I don't know the time you lose in the pit lane here. I don't actually have that down for this track. I'll make sure I get it before the Tier 1 race, but we'll find out if it's green flag cycles for these drivers if the race ends up safety car free.
Cam thought it was full qualifying, so he retired, that's why.
Oh.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
Well, we'll find out if he does any different in the race in terms of the way he goes about it now that he knows. He won last week, which is a good thing, so we'll have to find out.
And he is since who's not racing? Someone's not racing. Since B Good's not racing, he is the highest in points.
Yes, that's true.
To challenge for the championship lead. So I'd say he still has a pretty good shot at making it this week.
A lot on offer. That's all you can ask for. Have a chance. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are... Well, not a lot of people. I know Skither's laughing at him for that. I can't blame him. I had to get in the habit of calling him Skither now because I asked him in Discord, is it Scyther or Skither? He said Skither, but I've called them both for the longest time. Whatever works for people, I say. I don't think he minds it, but I just want to be correct on that. So I asked him. Skither's on pole. He'll lead us down to turn 1. We'll check what tires they checked in a little bit. We're waiting on the drivers to fix fuel, get in some strategies, do your last minute adjustments, take a sip of water. Now here come the 5 red lights for Portimao Formula Endurance. And it's go in Portimao. Scyther gets off the line well. He's going to cover off Gecko. Now Gecko's going to be in a battle with Grandpa, it looks like, on the run to turn 1. You can see behind that 2 wide between them. Hunted also in the thick of things, trying to take challenge. Skiz, Mythic, and all of them just trading spots at the back of the grid, as you see. Now turn 4 where this get, or turn 3, turn 4 where this gets a little tricky. The Alfa Romeo running out a little bit wide, but now for the lead. Here comes HSR Gecko. Which way does he go? It's going to be the long way around on lap 1. Around the outside. Both lines work beautifully. He's going to get the exit speed and take the lead of the race already.
That
wow,
was a power
what a move
around
Bonkers.
the outside of turn 5.
Cam, side by side. This gets narrow right here. You got to be careful in this section. Tons of stacking up. And I think they get through cleanly up until 10th as Valk and Jack go wheel to wheel here just inside the points. It's going to be Jack's place for now. Valk slots in behind. Does she still go for it down the inside here? Yes, she does. She's going to go for it still. Hops the curb a little bit, but nothing too severe. Nothing like qualifying. Now Red Fire sticking his nose right in there, just barely trying not to get involved in anything too spicy, nearly contact. However, I will say, everybody still within a second of the driver in front of them at the end of lap 1, and now you can see the positions gained from everybody.
Interesting thing to note here, we only have 3 runners on the soft tires. It's Bonkers, Red Fire Tiger, and Kipu all the way down there in 19th, who started last. This is very interesting, I think. I think maybe 2 stop, maybe 1 stop from the people who started on mediums, 2 stop from softs, or are they starting on different tires and still playing the same softs? We don't know. Very interesting though.
Well, positions are swapping throughout the whole field. Hunted and Cam, you also had, I believe it was Red Fire and Valk right there, and at the back of the grid as well. But now, Invade's got a 3-second time penalty, already a corner cutting one that drivers are going to have to be careful of. Cam gets the place, and Hunted is now finally clear, and at the back of this grid, side-by-side action there. They now figure it out, it looks like. However, this is still incredible. The fact that everyone, I don't know if all the front wings are clean, but no one's had to pit for anything. No one has been around so far yet, and I don't want to jinx it, but really clean start to say the least. And Skiz here at the back of this grid, you could see with the positions gained, only 9 seconds behind, considering how just this field has been so far. As Gagi, Invade, Kipu, Mythic, all just trading spots. The biggest winners though, Cam, Red Fire, Gagi.
I can tell you right now that Hunted has 2 track limit warnings already, 1 more, and he has a penalty right there in P5 in his McLaren. That's going to be really big for him on lap 3 of a 66 lap race, especially when you're up here at the sharp end.
Well, in some places, the DRS will be enabled on the next time around in the main straight. It's enabled now, and you'll get it on the run toward turn 5, and we'll find out what these guys tend to do with it. A DRS train that forms all the way to 13th, and speaking of corner cutting, Shanghai and the penalty club being naughty here on track limits already. Everybody looks to still stay tucked in. It's just all the way back to 14th here where DRS is lost. Wavy is going to be under pressure here from Shanghai. Move being made. 2 wide, 2 rows deep here into turn 5. Wavy is being overtaken by Shanghai.
Behind
and Invade
that,
is still side by side with Gagi.
Yeah, behind that, Gagi actually gets by Invade in his AlphaTauri. Nice stuff from him. Slower car.
Kipu as well, holding his ground for P18 here, just pulling away from Mythic and Skiz at the very back of the grid. Some of these guys just maybe not expecting some points today, but just trying to have a good run, trying to get some experience around here, and just wanting to race for the fun of it. Why not do something better on a Sunday, you know? And now the question becomes up here where I said the top 13 is DRS. Grandpa out of DRS this time. The top 2, though, still under a second.
Seems to be pretty... Everything seems to have calmed down a little bit on the lap 4. Not too surprising. It's still early days. Still got a lot of time left.
Bonkers getting through on Hunted. Hunted maybe going to try a cutback. Maybe. Inside
Maybe.
line.
Oh,
Jumps the curb.
Wow. That was a little
You want to
scary.
be careful on that. You don't want to damage your floor if you do that too many times. I know people have even done that on, you know, just standard damage. And it's like, well, that's a shocker. So you got to be very careful on how many times you do it. You don't want to overdo it. However, here comes Hunted, just still on the back of that Red Bull's gearbox, trying to get back up there because he knows Grandpa's trying to claw his way back into DRS. Scyther's almost out of it. Skither, Scyther, whatever. Bonkers as well on those soft tires. Not making the most of them just yet because he's just almost out of DRS as well. Same with Beatnik now too.
Yeah, if you're Bonkers right now, you want, and there's the penalty for Hunted. Those warnings really did catch up with him quick. There's the 3-second already for him. Anyway, if you're Bonkers on these tires, you really want to get a move on really quickly because those tires in the next 4, 5, maybe 6 laps, they're going to start to be worse than the mediums and being 9/10 off of Cam in the Ferrari right now, who's had a great start, by the way, up from 8th to 4th. It's going to be a little tough for him getting a little bit later into this race when his tires start to drop off.
We had Valk making a move earlier on in the end of Sector 2, showing that that's not impossible for sure. Blugagi is going to go side by side with Wavy at turn 1 here. These two, again, so much history. Tier 2, F2, and now how about bring it over to Formula Endurance now as Wavy makes a really sweeping move there on Blugagi to hold on. However, it's going to be Goggy's turn to take the DRS down to turn 5. This is where Goggy collided with Beatnik in F2, and luckily, no collision there. Wavy did pinch. They almost come together. They were making contact, and now Goggy gives him the pinch, but nothing too severe. I think Wavy's going to have to back off.
He's going to keep his nose
unless he still tries a ballsy move.
This
hanging around side by side.
Might not
out
end
of Samsung corner.
Contact. Big contact. 3 wide. Invade's going to try and get through on both of them.
Whoa. Invade. Trying to find his way through on these guys. How about the back of this grid giving us some action?
Cannot get by Goggy, but does get by his teammate Wavy. Wavy is really not going to like that one, as he almost runs into the back of him. I think he does a bit of oversteer from Wavy. Kipu's going to try and capitalize on that. Wow, really big battling back here from 15th down to about 18th.
Very ballsy from Invade, by the way, because that was just bad coverage, you know, to try to take a chance on that. And he took the chance and made it work. And yes, Owen got by Beatnik, if that's what you're going to say. Here we go. I think it's Goggy and Invade once again trading places. Kipu and Wavy now. Wavy is losing some more spots, it looks like. Side by side at turn 1, they give each other tons of space in the background. Goggy stays in behind. In front of that, Zatsi also just smelling the rear gearbox of Beatnik, the team principal. Zatsi got a promotion here from the Mercedes Academy recently. Speaking of Mercedes Academy, there's one of their drivers again in the penalty club, and it is Wavy Knife this time for Williams.
Meanwhile, back up a little bit towards the front, Skizzer has closed the gap to Gecko. It was about 8/10. Now he's closed it to little under half a second. He's well within probably the range to pass him with DRS, especially with probably a little bit lower wings on that McLaren compared to that Ferrari.
Just look at the field so far. 6 laps in, even the worst car in 20 seconds of the leader. So no one's had any drastic issues besides maybe lack of straight line speed, lack of overtaking. Speaking of overtaking, we're going to see one on the main straight now. Here is Cam. Does he stay behind? Nope, he's going to go for it. Down the inside on Grandpa, making the move now to make it a double Ferrari podium. Grandpa going to try to charge back. Can't get the run here to turn number 3.
Well, you were watching that. I was watching Skizzer and Gecko. Skizzer was 6/10 back. He closed up right to the gearbox to go on the main straight. He is right on him still through Sector 1. He might get the move done down the main straight on this lap.
If not, he can force him to a mistake, and now our first yellow flag gets Blugagi around. I think there's more damage up in front of that, and I think that is one of the cars near that. I thought it was Wavy, but it's not.
It's not.
Either Skiz or Kipu, maybe. Trying to figure that out if we can get a good camera angle here, please. I saw a front wing flying in the air. Not the full front wing, but Grandpa, time penalty. And that's not good from him. Usually he does get that sometimes, and it has come into effect with him. I don't see any wing damage, so it must have been from Goggy's end plate then.
Let me go confirm.
Would have had to been. Yeah.
Yes,
his end plate. But with that said, he surely got involved in a collision with someone. It wasn't just by his own doing. So That's our first yellow flag of this race. Only one yellow flag, 8 laps in. I'm really happy to see that, to say the least. Two teammates here for Red Bull, close to one another. No moves being made. Main straight, train forming behind that. Some Mercedes Academy cars. Jack Miles in on the action. And really staying quiet for the most part here. I mean, you said the lead was close. It's just...
Oh,
nope,
Gecko's around
Gecko.
from the lead. Leader
Wow, I
curse
was just
continues.
Oh no. I was just about to say, Skither was staying in behind and just waiting for that mistake to happen, and he's just keeping himself in DRS, but he didn't really need to do that. He just waited to put Gecko into a mistake, and now look at the lead that Skither's got. 2.7 seconds.
Over Cam, who has went from 8th to 2nd in 8 laps in this race, which is really impressive, at least to me.
Two Americans in the comms box, making an American one too, with that being said now. So, Scyther took his first ever pole position in an F1 car here today. Obviously it's Formula Endurance though, so it's not F1 Tier 1, F1 Tier 2. Finally finding something around the circuit compared to before. He's had podiums, but never the qualifying pace, and now maybe he can convert it into a win here.
This battle for second
Portimao
is going to get even crazier as Gecko joins them. We have 5 cars in this train, and they are running different levels of downforces. As you Grandpa gets the move done on Cam down the main straight, it's probably going to get even crazier in the coming laps, as we have another Red Bull behind Cam in the form of Bonkers, and you have Hunt behind him, really close.
Yeah, now it's second place. Who wants to go chase after Skither? Who thinks they can do so? Grandpa's got a penalty. These guys know they're going to finish in front of him if this race were to end now. Still a long way to go. I think there was a spot being traded further back. Maybe
Lennon getting by Red Fire.
Yeah, 2 Academy teammates right there. Very neatly done there. Yeah, just a very easy DRS pass on the main straight. No surprise there at all. But with Gecko spinning, the good thing for him is he's at the back of this train now. He's not in no man's land at all. I don't see any damage, so he can be okay with that, but definitely hurting his confidence nonetheless.
What that is going to do, it's going to put him behind on rear tire wear, so he's going to start losing rear grip maybe a lap or 2 sooner than the cars in front of him, which could hurt him at the end of the stint.
And that's something you don't want. You definitely don't want that at all. And by the way,
it's
just
Goggy.
to give people some context, yep, Goggy's around. 3rd yellow flag of this race. I believe, in terms of leaders and mistakes this weekend, I mean, we've had quite a few of them. And some that have come unnoticed, that's for sure. But third time this season in Formula Endurance of the 3 races we've had, a crash from the lead from a driver. Doesn't mean they crashed out, but just a crash from the lead. And I think that's really wild to think about.
Sorry to interrupt. A big wiggle from Hunted out of turn 3, and that's going to allow Gecko to go down the inside. Almost hits Bonkers trying to make the move. Keeps it clean and gets by Hunted through turn 5. Really risky racing, but good move from Gecko.
Well, let's find out what can happen here now with this DRS train. 2.6 the gap to Skither. And can he remain in the lead here for McLaren? Hunted also as well in this train for P2 for McLaren as well. And behind that, a train from 7th to 11th. So we got battles all around this circuit. And we're almost a 6th of the way through to think about it. That's for sure.
Gecko now looking to pass Bonkers, maybe down the main straight. No slipstream really from Bonkers, almost dropping out of the DRS Cam. Could be the tires. I don't know. There's more yellows with Goggy again. Big surprise. Anyway, as Gecko tries to go by, Bonkers down in turn 1, really close racing. Bit of contact. More bit of contact. Going through turn 3, and Gecko's going to bully his way by Bonkers as Hunter tries to capitalize through turn 4. He's going to have a big run on Bonkers, who has probably worse tires, but Hunted's gonna stay back for now.
I definitely thought he was going to try the 2-1 right there, or at least to get Bonkers in a really awkward position, but didn't happen there. However, Grandpa does have the penalty. He is gaining on Skither little by little here. 2.4 gap. It was previously just a little under 3 seconds. And you can see the pace has not dropped off from him. And we'll see what kind of strategies these guys go for. I'm not really sure what it'd be like 100%. I'll have to do some more work on that myself. But, you know, the only one on the softs in the top 10 is Bonkers. And 2 guys have pitted this race. It's Wavy and Goggy, who have had
We have
opening
a wild
struggles.
blue Goggy, the leaders.
Well, at least for Grandpa's sake, he had a chance at getting DRS right there, but he's not going to get it. It's going to be Cam who gets it. And if Gecko didn't feel like he was close enough, he could have got it, but didn't. So, just some unfortunate stuff there. Goggy just only going to help out the Red Bull Academy, of course, being on an AlphaTauri.
Oh,
Doing really well in
and he
Tier
loses
2.
it again. How do you get a penalty from that? I'm just all right. Anyway, back up
Well,
towards
the
the
weird
lead.
thing is, he's losing it, JNT, and he's not got any damage. So, that's the good part, at least.
He's just doing some burnouts for his team because he knows they're gonna win.
We'll find out if that's the case. Here comes Hunted on the back of Bonkers once again. Not close enough. A lot of real estate on offer.
Interesting to note, Cam has closed up pretty nicely. The Grandpa has been able to stick there for about a couple laps. Bit of wiggle out from him, out from him there though.
Hold on,
But
Hunted
doesn't
has a
seem to
chance to
hurt
make a move. He was thinking about it. Nope, not going to do it. Going to stay in behind and wait another day and just hope Bonkers stays within DRS of Gecko. Can't do
I think
so right
Hunted
now on
is
the
getting a
softs.
little impatient. Behind
Reasonably
Bonkers on the
so, though,
softs.
with the softs. Well, here we go for P2. If Cam wants to have a challenge at Scyther, Scyther, I'm too used to it. Skiller, you're going to have to find a way past now. Speaking of finding a way past now, here comes Hunted. Hunted with DRS breezes past Bonkers with ease. Behind that, the DRS train from 7 to 11 just continues with all these guys trying to work their way to get up to Bonkers in them.
Way wide. That's going to let Bonkers right back through.
Well, switcheroo here. Can he do so again here with DRS down to turn 5? He's got a lot of overspeed. Outside line. He ducks around that way. Can he keep it?
It's going to let him go.
Smart move there. Got, a battle forming between Kipu and Invade, and Mythic and Skiz toward the back of the grid as well.
Update on that P2 battle. Cam has dropped out of DRS range, at least at the moment, from Grandpa, and Gecko has really closed up on these two. He's driving in anger. He wants to be back at the front.
Well, it's hard to say. You can't blame him. But either way, born in Shanghai, who I did learn is actually born in Shanghai last week.
Crazy.
6th driver to take a penalty in this race. More yellow flags. That is an AlphaTauri around. Once again, it's Blue Goggy, and this time he's taking a board
we got
with
a big
him
battle
as well.
between Skiz and Mythic down here in the Portimao, and Skiz down the inside of Mythic. Good move from the AlphaTauri as he runs a little bit wide though, gets a penalty.
Teammate swap for Ferrari. Moved on.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that a
Cam may have used a little bit of
swap?
track limits in the process, though, as, Skiz also did in that overtake you mentioned, too. So, yes.
But now the problem is that Gecko is 7/10ths out of DRS from Grandpa. He's going to have to really use his pace as Valkyrie gets a 3-second time penalty in that train
got,
from 7th.
8 drivers now in the penalty club. Yellow flags. This time
that's
it's for one of our top
time.
runners. Yes.
And
also, I think Invade, maybe letting him go, feeling a bit wrong there. Yes. So, a respectful move from Invade to let him go, thinking he's the cause of that collision.
Intensity's ramping up a little bit.
Yeah, 3rd place is still on offer. Cam can maybe be pulled along by Gecko here to just avoid Hunted. Or if Gecko does catch, you got Grandpa. And now this race is Goggy. Safety car
is out.
This is poor timing for the top 2. As
this
the
might
safety car
really
will pick them up.
benefit Bonkers on the soft tires, actually. This kind of saves him a little bit because he gets to stay with these guys now.
Very true. The rest of the field from 4th on back does pit. I don't expect anyone to stay out unless they're expecting to go really long on their tires.
I think the top three thought that more people would stay out because I think they're all going for the one stop maybe. I don't think they anticipated that so many people behind them would come in.
Well,
Might
I
be a
know Skither couldn't really duck his way in, but Grandpa could have. A little late, though. Cam was thinking about it. I know I saw that. But safety car is out for the first time in this race. We've had a safety car in all 3 of our events in Formula Endurance.
Let's
So,
go through who's on what
yeah.
tire now. Hunted
Yeah, why not?
switched on the softs. Bonkers also switched on to another set of softs, which is very interesting. Might go medium tires. Can mediums go 30 laps? I don't know. I haven't done this before. Eoin, or
Owen. Yep.
Owen. Yeah, Owen. I forgot his
I
name
know,
for a
it's weird
second.
like that. It's Irish.
Owen on the softs. Also, Beatnik on the mediums. Jack and Zatsy both on the softs. Valkyrie on the hards. Very interesting choice from her. Skiz stayed out and gained a few spots. Might cause a bit of a cluster at the back. Just have to wait and see. 13th down to 17th, all on mediums. Wavy stayed out. He had previously boxed. He's on mediums, and Mythic on a fresh set of softs. As
Now.
all the leaders into the
Oh!
pits.
I don't think he meant to do that, Cam. Overtook Grandpa in the pit lane. I know there was some controversy about it yesterday with that. But Cam goes to soft tires. This will likely be a 2-step. Skither to mediums. Grandpa on hards, maybe? Is their car still stuck there for you? Nope, just
That was
never mind. Just a
interesting.
little glitch. Just a little glitch.
Oh,
There we
it
go.
was a
We're
glitch.
good. Grandpa
I put
on hards, though.
these,
Two different
yeah,
tires.
these 3. I don't think, yeah, they had to respond to that, and even though they lost track position, I don't think they had much else of a choice because they would have lost a lot more if they stayed on their old tires.
Would have been banking on a safety car later on the race then, JNT. That's what I would think. I wouldn't want to do that.
I think they would have been at the back in like 5 laps. That's how big tires are on this game.
Yeah. Want any score updates for the NFL games while we're under safety car?
Um,
I forget what team you're for. I don't know why.
I root for whatever team is playing the game. Well, the Bengals
Okay.
are absolutely crushing the Cleveland Browns 31-0 in the third quarter. That is absolutely
Yeah.
amazing from them.
I'm
The Panthers are
not
losing as
surprised about
usual.
that. Hey, they're nothing without Joe Flacco, it
The
seems,
Titans
right?
28-13 on the Jaguars as they keep sucking ever since they were 8-3 and decided to stop being a football team.
Snowing on the Patriots game. That's a 6-3 game with the Jets
Interesting.
leading.
The Jets
Vikings
only know
and
how to play in the
Lions.
snow.
Yeah, that's true. Lions 20-6 with the Vikings. Pain, they're not going to make the playoffs anyway. I know that. I'm not going to be a delusional Vikings fan. Saints and Falcons is a high-scoring game, 31-17. Saints are leading. And only other game that's on is Bucks and Panthers, and that's 6-0. But I know Baker Mayfield was hurt at one point. Don't know if he still is.
I think something
so,
just happened because
see.
Wavy got a 3-second under safety car.
All right, well, safety car is in. Here we go for a restart. Gecko, back on the battery. We're back underway. Gecko leads the charge, and he spun earlier on in the lead. Now he's got chance number 2 in the lead to hang on. They're all jockeying it out behind. Zatsy, Jack, side by side to turn away. They touch! They touch! Zatsy and Jack almost both off the road, but Zatsy's the one who had to take evasive action.
Around
and now
goes
it's Grandpa.
and Redfire Tiger. I think
And
that
he
was a
spins again.
byproduct. Skiz.
Red Fire's the one who spins again. Lennon gets by Skiz as well, as you were just mentioning him. Ducking out was Cam on the back of Skither. So those two could take advantage, the Ferrari and the McLaren, but Grandpa the one who couldn't because he spun around, and maybe with contact, as Red Fire did spin twice.
That's one of the things about being back in the pack. You're behind slower cars. You get all bottled up.
Oh!
And sometimes it leads to spins like you saw
Whoa!
just now. Wow. That was
Touching.
a little mean.
Between Invade and Skiz, just connected both wheels right there, and 4 cars, 5 of them actually, under a blanket here, inside line for Shanghai, they touch, and now I think the AlphaTauri almost forced Wavy off the road. In front of that, Valk also in the thick of things with Skither around the outside. Now it's Cam's chance to try to pick his way through, can't do so, still battling, Wavy as well, 2 by 2, 2 rows deep once again, and Skiz can't hold on, getting overtaken by 2 right there. Mythic still side by side with Kipu in the final corner right there. Battery being used there, that's unusual. And in front of that, Valk and Skither, 3-car train. It's all kicking off, and down the inside, they touch! Skither and Valk, not a lot of space being given there, but almost a spin, and luckily not one. Around the outside, can Skither do it here? Turn number 4, what a move! Here comes Cam.
Here comes Cam.
Cam out of the action. Which one does Skither protect? He protects Cam.
Trying to follow Skither through as he goes wide a little bit.
Oh!
Almost
gotta be careful
the door
there.
for Cam.
Still in on the action, invade behind Shanghai, and how about Kip and Wavy wheel to wheel once more? This action does not stop, especially this far back in the field, and it does not stop going side by side here. Down the inside at Samsung corner, contact made, almost onto the curb, almost forced off, remaining wheel to wheel, inside line for Kip, and Wavy inside line for the next corner, and now Wavy still far to the inside, trying to give some space. It's Kip who prevails on that outside line.
Wavy almost just binned it.
My goodness, you just are on the edge of your seat with that kind of racing for sure.
That pretty crazy
And
safety
top
car
5,
restart.
DRS.
Hunted. Trying to get by. Oh, Gecko is hunted. Gets punted off by Gecko.
Oh, Hunted, no. That is not what you wanted to saw when there was a race happening for the lead. I just missed the end of that. I was just trying to switch to the Discord to see anyone talking about messages. Beatnik wondering about horrible lag from himself. Cam.
Well.
Ooh, close to Beatnik. Sorry, go ahead.
When did Cam get by Sitzer? Was that on Main Street?
Maybe. I know I missed a couple of things there because there's been so much through this field that these guys have presented us. Only 19 laps in.
Oh, wow. That was a bold move from Cam. Almost onto the, not even on the racetrack. Big move from him on Beatnik. That was really risky from him.
Well, Haunted through and Mythic as well.
Yellow
flags. In
someone manually
Wavy,
retiring?
maybe. Yes, Wavy. Wavy having more issues. But luckily still in this race. All 20 runners today showed up, and 19 of them are still left.
That's
However,
honestly really impressive.
Second place up for grabs. He's going to take it away. Owen up into second place over Bonkers. And now the other Red Bull of Grandpa continue to struggle and continue to spin. He's about to get lapped. Not what he needed. Not what he wanted. And now, Skither down the inside of Beatnik. These two have come to collision before. Keep it wheel to wheel and keep it clean, these two. Yes, the two Americans do so. Behind that, there's more trading spots. Hunted in Shanghai. Cam and Zatsy, 2 by 2 again.
Sorry about that. I just saw like 8 cars on top of each other.
It's insane. It is insane. This whole field is providing us with so much action. You know, people can't be upset if there's a battle missed because it's been everywhere in this restart.
Don't look now of the Alfa Romeo of Jack Miles looking to get past Bonkers in the Red Bull. Very impressive from him to be up in P4 in his Alfa Romeo.
Haunted was thinking of a move on Invade. The tricky thing for him after that spin is he's got a penalty to spare with, and now more yellow flags. It is Wavy around once again, and this time it's on the left side of that track.
Can barely keep track of all of this. There's so much happening. Gonna watch Jack as he maybe tries to get Bonkers. I don't know if he has a straight line speed. Let's see down to turn 1. Can Bonkers get Owen here down in the turn 1? He has a huge run from the slipstream, but just cannot get by him. Does not have enough straight.
More for Wavy. More yellow flags for Wavy. Hunted's the one who's going to make the overtake now. Pushing past Invade. How about that? Hunted back up the field, trying to recover all the mistakes that he had. Now Jack Miles wanting to make the move, not close enough to make the move. Someone who is, though, is Skither for P6 in this race. Side by side on the run to turn 5. Going to keep it wheel to wheel here. Zatsy hanging around the outside. They almost touch rear and front wheels. Skither uses the overtake to keep himself ahead for that place over the Aston Martin of Zatsy.
Owen being in P2 right now is really helping out Gecko, who has opened up a 3.6 second lead on basically the rest of this train that goes all the way down pretty much to Beatnik in 8th. As Wavy's out of the session in the
Looks to
pits.
be in the
He's
pit lane.
retired. He's given up. What a guy.
Well, if he's not giving up, he's definitely got some sort of damage. Probably rear, side pod, whatever it is.
I'd
And
retire
off to Senate
too if I
improving, he
that.
had that. So it's not looked at as unreasonable. 2nd to 8th now is this train. And by
Cam.
the way, with Ferrari's Cam in this train and Ferrari's Gecko leading, this will help them as they lead the Constructors' Championship before today. Here we go. Where is this going to happen with moves being made? It looks to be Cam. Whoa!
That was not fun. I don't even know what to say about that.
That was his car.
I know.
Ghosted out of the pit lane. Luckily ghosted. Can't imagine if ghosting was off. But no move's going to be made unless you're going to be late on the brakes here because everybody 3rd on back has DRS here.
Just spun. Caught that literally right at the right time.
Yes, here we go. More battling behind that. All outside the points, but still could be worth it later. Oh, it's an Alpine sandwich
3
here.
wide.
Invade, but through the middle is Shanghai. Side by side here, jumps the curb, contact off the road, and somehow keeps it straight. What a save. Here we go, up in front. Once again, Skither on the outside of Jack. Nice battle here now. Skither onto the curb. Jack is still remaining on the outside line. Gonna try to kind of curve his car in a way where he can maybe stick behind and have slipstream here on the run on the main straight besides DRS. He should be okay though. A lot of moves in this race up at the front. It's all happening behind race leader HSR Gecko, who is finally back out on front, trying to do a spin and win here in RPL.
He might just do it. He's very, very comfortable out there. 5.5 seconds. I'd say even if he spun again, he'd still be in the lead.
This reminds me, though, of Saudi Arabia Tier 1, where these guys behind the race leader, if Cookie was just battling, they might be faster or the same pace, but this battling is hurting them down the inside is bonkers. I don't think he wanted to do that, but he had Cameron on the outside, who takes full advantage there. E3 is now his. Double podium for Ferrari.
And this might quickly be a 1-2.
Oh,
around
the 3rd
goes
time
bonkers.
in a row in a race. This time in this tier that Skithers made a mistake when following a car. It's Bonkers who was the worst end of that. He got spun by Skither.
You take it too deep? I didn't totally get all of that.
I just think he just wasn't trying to make a move and hit him and spun him and went to the left trying to avoid him, and it cost him dearly because now Zatsy and Jack are ahead. Man, that is unfortunate for Bonkers, and now Skither are going to be facing another penalty in the Searles office. He's been clean in every other tier. He's a very good driver in wheel-to-wheel combat, but he leads the penalty point standings, I believe, with 5 penalty points. Gonna have another one come his name, and now another place come into Cam's name. Here we go, side by side. It's Cam's place now as Skither overtakes an Aston Martin, which you saw happen in front too, and now switch back.
He hits the sausage curb.
Not enough for Lennon as well, following Valk. You see Lennon still following for the last point spot. But, yeah, we are on the edge of our seat, that's for sure. We got Lennon down the run to turn 5. Stays behind Valk. No, goes down the inside, throws it down there. Gonna remain wheel-to-wheel, tantalizingly close to contact on exit. May have been Grandpa with a penalty. So, remaining wheel-to-wheel here for the moment, but Valk does back out right there and says, you can take that place, I'll just follow you behind.
Nice little run for Lennon in the Haas up in P9. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, always like to see these nice runs for these drivers who end up being in slower cars and likely not always able to do it. You always wonder in RPL, in Tier 1 or Tier 2, and before F2 too. Maybe not as much F2 with the realistic side of it though. Of Tier 1 and Tier 2. Who can outperform their car? Who's the big shout out? Who's the one who is impressing us? And you know, good runs from Jack, good runs from Owen, Zatsy, and you could argue Lennon too. Still a long way to go though. Almost halfway here in this race. I feel like I'm watching a 2020 race again from, you know, F1 here with how it is.
Beatnik.
You're good?
Main straight, getting by Zatsy. Nice little
Two Mercedes
DRS.
taking advantage. By the way, Valk got Lennon too. Maybe trying to pull each other along. Some different strategies here from the drivers. Still A lot can happen in this race, as we've always said. Kipu and Shanghai. How about wheel to wheel again between these two Tier 2 drivers? Shanghai a reserve, Kipu full-time. Contact made right there. They're both on loan, though. So these are not their full-time academies, but they are teammates for today. So why not have some fun and learn something here behind another Tier 2 driver of Invade? All about learning, I say this tier is. I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Definitely learning. I think...
Well, we saw Owen used runoff, by the way. Just
Yeah.
to note you for track limits with your detection on that.
I think some of these guys might be driving a bit worse than they would. Not 100% sure why, but it's been a lot more, a little rough around the edges today, I'd say, than other races. As
Here's Skither.
Skizzer.
On the
That's
move.
by Jack. Should be pretty
Jack
easy
Miles. You're right about that. And does Zatzi get close enough to beat Nick? No. Lennon is closer to Valk. There's a move potentially on Pursued at turn 1. Wheel to wheel. They do remain that way. And Bonkers gets a penalty. Valk gets forced out wide.
move. Oh!
And Lennon
Almost
takes it.
loses it.
Trying to keep up with everything if anyone gets close. But yes, Invade did overtake Kipu. Around the outside now is Shanghai, who had a good one for Williams last week. Lennon also, again,
And
traded
Valk.
spots with Valk.
Re-overtakes.
Yellow flags. Grandpa.
Grandpa.
Already about to go a lap down. And
Unfortunate
Valk
for him. Damn it.
taking up a penalty. Yeah. P3 is for Stakes. It was close again. Oh, and almost falling out of DRS now for Aston Martin.
I think
Aston
Skizzer
Martin.
will get them.
Yeah, Aston Martin have had some really good runs here since this game cycle started. Light at the end of the tunnel for them to have a chance for more podiums. And it's happening in all tiers. But
I
right now,
remember
the
when I
podium
won
place
an
is going to be
Aston Martin.
Skithers.
Oh! Owen's fighting this hard, I think. Might be. Into the back of him a little bit. It just got really dark.
Yes. Back down the inside. Ascend from Owen. Here he goes. It is going to be third place for him. Skither
Skizzer
now
out
going
a
to
little
try
bit.
toward the grass. Contact.
Wow! A lot of
This
squeezing
is
going on
close.
for P3. Very close racing. I think Skizzer will keep the spot.
Switchback.
Not done
Owen.
yet. Owen's still fighting.
He wants to hang on, but he can't do it much longer.
I think his tires are
P3 is
just a
now
little
Skithers.
too worn at this point.
Here we go. Lennon on the outside. Can't make the move stick. Valk does remain ahead. Good defending by her. At least good to see she's got some race pace now compared to her poor qualifying pace.
These two have been locked in a battle for like the last 10 laps, and that's actually allowed Hunted to close up just a little bit, maybe trying to regain some of the places he lost before his spin. He has closed up to these two. He's going to try and enter their little battle for P9.
Well, 9-second lead now for Gecko over the Ferrari teammate. Gonna look to make it a Ferrari 1-2. Skither now on the run toward him. So, Jack Miles behind Owen. The good friends they are. Maybe gonna work it out even though they're not in the same academy. Rain
Did
is
I
at the
just see
track.
rain?
Yes.
Okay.
Rain is now hitting.
Interesting. The plot
So
thickens
this
at
makes
Portimao.
sense on why they went to the softs, J&T.
That does make sense, actually. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's raining.
Well, we saw the same thing in Zandvoort. We didn't see it in Silverstone, which seems to rain more in England than about anywhere that we've been to so far this season. And not only that, but will we see inters be used?
The
Will it be
tides
enough?
have turned. It is now
Yes.
going to be a wet race for at least a little while. Who will be the best driver in wet conditions? Skizzer already has a big tank slapper. He was one of the drivers I noted had a higher top speed in qualifying compared to the rest of these guys. Might be running a little lower downforce, which could hurt him in wet conditions.
Well, let's find out what happens here with strategies. Who tries it out, who doesn't. Does Grandpa try it out for the sake of his teammate to try to gain some places? Owen's the first one in. They feel like it's already getting bad and damp, and he's speeds.
Skizzer going for a move. It is
him.
getting damp. The track is getting wet. Skizzer goes for a move on Cam for P2.
Yes, it's bad already.
He's in the pit lane.
It is just time for inners. These guys timed it perfect. They realized that the track is actually really wet now, and Bonkers may have to wait for one of those guys there to go out. Yep, there you go.
Starting to form.
That's the bad part. These top 5 are in trouble. Look at this now. The
Look
track is wet.
sliding.
This feels like Nürburgring 2007. I almost said 2007.
Really wet. Really quickly. That's what she said.
I almost said 2007. Well, it's a 10-second lead, though. And, yeah, look at this. It just started raining just 2 minutes ago, maybe less. And look at this. Look at the spray from the back of that Ferrari of Cam. My God. Well, you know what here? Owen was on a run for a podium, and now he may be able to get P2 comfortably. Let's check the gap here.
The gap is coming
Cam is
down.
going wide.
Not by DRS is now disabled. As you should see all the leaders peel in for the intermediate tire.
Oh. A little too late from these guys. A little too late. But not as much for Gecko, who had that 10-second lead, almost 11 now. And sadly, Cam will have to double stack with a teammate. Do not speed, Cam. You're almost in. Beatnik coming in. And now hunted the next one. Owen should be able to get toward P2 here. Don't know if he'll be able to get it. But if he timed this just perfectly, though, he could get it.
Really unfortunate for Hunted. He's really losing out. He's had to stay on a really wet track for about half a lap on soft. He's really going to kill him.
This is now a race out of the pit lane. Skither obviously taking advantage of a double stack with Ferrari. Here's Owen on the main straight. Skither won't be overtaken by Owen. However, Cam will. Yes. So this is perfect for Owen. And if you need a driver in the wet, you need to ask some tips for. Some of the guys in this league say it's Jack Miles.
Actually also gets jumped by Jack, which is really, really not good for him. He was setting P2. P3, right behind Skizzer. Now, he's trailing him not only by 2 seconds, but there's 2 cars between them.
I think the gap between Owen and Gecko was around 13 seconds-ish. And now it's just a little under 11 or a little over 11. So Owen was the big winner out of that. And same with anyone who pitted a lap prior. Just, you want to be able to make it either on the end with this or on these tires without a puncture. We'll find out if that's the case. Grandpa. Another penalty. Yeah, just unfortunate. He's had a really poor race.
Really got
2-2 runner-up.
Yeah, really got screwed up with that safety car restart.
Speaking of penalties, 9 of the 18 runners in this race still have penalties due to track limits. It's a tricky one around here, I will say. I think you could agree with me. It's not the easiest place to keep it on the circuit, but now that the rain is here, I think it'll be a little bit easier.
One thing to note is that since they came out of the pits, I feel like my theory was correct, because Skizzer has lost about 1.2, 1.3 seconds to Gecko over the last lap and a half.
That would make a lot of sense, and here comes the Alfa Romeo of Jack. His car and his driving style now coming alive here. DRS disabled, so he's going to have to find a way around Owen. That will be a little bit out of the ordinary. Yellow flags, Shanghai off out of this race. VSC. That is weird where he is off. That is very odd. He must have...
I think he might have gotten on the curve. Might have overcorrected.
Right. Yeah, I was just about to say you're exactly right there. That's the only way I could see it, unless someone suggests it's intentional, and it was. I don't think it was, so I doubt it. We'll see if the driver says anything in driver's chat, though. But virtual safety car. No full safety car. And, yeah, Jack Miles in that Alfa Romeo can now kind of plan in his head how he's going to get by Owen, because one of the better drivers in the wet, Jack Miles, is in a car that does suit these kind of conditions, I would say.
BSC is over. Green flags.
So, if he's thought about it, he better have thought about it by now. And as you said, Skither lost time to Gecko. I don't know if Gecko just lost some time himself too, but it went to a 12.0 gap now. So We could be seeing a
Whoa.
race with a big margin. Owen goes off. Jack Miles now being under threat from Cam, the Ferrari Academy teammate. Does a little swap there. Maybe not meaning to, but Cam up into P4 and technically net P3 with Owen having that penalty.
I'm seeing Skizzer being really close on those track limits right now.
Cam going for a slide, keeping it in a straight direction, luckily. He's had a couple slides since this rain started.
Cam, big run on. Oh, and he's going to dive down the inside to turn 5. And
wow.
not on traction, though. Owen's going to fight back. They're going to be side by side down in this little Mickey Mouse section. Will they keep it clean through the first part? They do. Cam tries to go around the outside. They still keep it clean. He's going to get the power down. Still side by side up into Portimao. This is great racing. He almost forces him off. Still side by side. And around Owen. Almost half spin. He keeps it going. But wow. Contact between them. Thankfully, he kept it going. But wow.
And thankfully, still within a second, not in DRS, because there's no DRS in these conditions, but in a second. And the teammate, team principal of Beatnik is right there.
That was some crazy racing right there, if I do say so myself.
Owen's like, you're going to try to put me off? No, you're not going to just stay ahead by the next corner. And he almost costed himself by doing that.
He has some good fight in him to fight that hard against a Ferrari who's been probably the second, third fastest car the entire race.
Well, these two further behind, Lennon and Valk, have seen some battles now in the dry, now in the wet. Valk using some battery, I think, to maybe defend, or just some straight line speed that is helping her. Maybe that's why when we spoke about qualifying, there was some guys with downforce due to this rain. With that being said, Owen falling behind Jack a little bit longer. Still not close enough for a move, but, you know, easy to slip up there. Speaking of slipping up, I think that's what Valk did. She's now having to concede the place to Lennon, who throws it down the inside. Valk may be looking for a switchback, but can't make the move. Obviously, going to have to stick in behind, keep going, and hope you can catch up to Zatsy here 5 seconds up the road.
It's going to be a tough task, but if Lennon is good enough in the wet, might be able to. Never know.
I've not seen enough of Lennon in the wet, so good question. Find out. And keep in mind, with penalties in front, if Kippu can find pace here in the wet, he can gain up to get maybe P10 by the end of this. I think the big shock, though, for today, Jack Miles and Owen, two big names as well, who are really playing a big factor in this race. Owen obviously having the penalty. Jack Miles could make it a second podium in a row this weekend for Alfa Romeo. They've had one in Tier 1 this game cycle. They've had one now in Tier 2, and now looking for one in Formula Endurance, which Jack Miles came short of, in fact, in round 1 of the season in Britain. But he's really showing the difference between what he can do in a Ferrari.
Oh, Owen goes wide and needs to let beat it go.
You're right about that. Owen losing out again. Just unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate, in fact. We don't have moves up in front of the field, but we do have moves outside the points. Red Fire clawing his way to 13th. He can take that place with comfort, and he's ahead of Invade. Invade as well gets to tackle this car in the wet as well. Maybe a little bit of non-official rumors, but there's a good chance, though, that at some point he could be going to this car in Tier 2 if performances don't really work out. Don't really know the full detail on that, but Invade has definitely not made Beatnik the happiest with the last recent performances in Tier 2. At least for today, though, in Williams. The only one left in this race, the one at the back of this field, has had some really good battles, kept it clean. Very calculated, though, with most the ways he's taken it. No one really battling right now, so we'll talk about him. You know, most of these guys do exactly what they're expected to do in the Williams and just finish the race clean, outside the points, but, you know, close to the points. And Invade has done that in a race where it's really been hard for a car like his to get to the points. So for P14, I know he's got a penalty. I know it's been tough, but you know what? Considering the last couple of weeks in Tier 2, that's all you can ask for, especially considering he's in a Williams, though. And he's running ahead of 3 drivers, though, who I know 2 of them have made tons of mistakes this race, but Something to be proud of for himself that he has at least kept it clean this race for the most part.
Yeah, he's definitely been running pretty decent, I'd say. He's been in a lot of battles, and he's kept it somewhat clean. I think he did have one little spin earlier, but for the amount of wheel he's had, he's done pretty all right for himself. So I'd say that's something to be pretty proud of.
Score update, by the way. The Vikings now trail the Lions by only 7 points. Yellow flags for Grandpa again. And he is mowing some grass. That is nice to see.
The rain looks like it is coming down just a bit harder than it was earlier.
What else do we have score-wise? Well, we have Bengals and Browns still 31-0. Got a little time here. Everyone's spread out. 14 seconds for the lead. Jets and Patriots 6-3. What else do we got here? We've got Saints and Falcons 34-17. Bucks now lead 9-0. And Titans Jags 28-20. Those are the only 6 games on. And just helping out the Americans here since we've got 2 of them on the podium. And now the one who's also on the podium now is a penalty.
That is tough. Ferrari has had 2 really solid cars with no penalties through this whole race, and now Cam is a bit compromised by it, as right now he would lose third to Jack. It's not good for him right now.
I really think Jack Miles may not be the most consistent driver in RPL, but he goes so under the radar. And Invade and Red Fire now pit for what I'm going to assume is either front wing changes or wet tires.
I think it might be time for the wets. The rain is chucking down, and you see those blue-walled wet tires go on to the Alfa Romeo driver. And that leaves the question now, when do these guys... Gecko could probably do whatever he wants, but when do these guys, Skizzer, Cam, Jack, Beatnik, Owen, Bonkers, Zatsy, when do they pull into the pits for the wets? Is it 100% time yet, or are those guys gambling a little bit in the back? Only time will tell for that one.
Well, they go by the pit lane now. You have Gecko staying out. Does Skizzer elect to go in?
Skizzer does indeed pit for the wets.
Cam should be.
Cam follow him.
Since his
Cam
teammate didn't.
him in. Jack stays out.
Gecko can take a double stack, so maybe that's why you wanted Cam to go first. Jack stays out. Jack thinks it may... If he's staying out here, Jack, same with Owen, what I think they're waiting on is saying, look, the wets are only going to be faster for a little bit of a period of time as Kippu gets a penalty. The wets will only be faster for a period of time. It'll go back to inners and, you know, we'll not have to make an extra pit stop and we'll be ahead of you guys. Maybe take a gamble. I don't know. Zatsy stays out. Lennon does too. And so does Valk. Maybe others too. Honda does too. So yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know.
Does not look like it's driving well right now for the Inter runners.
Oh, hold on. Skither coming out of the pit lane, side by side with Valk. Valk being put in a McLaren debacle here between both cars. Skither takes advantage. Hunted couldn't take advantage, but these two did collide here in Singapore Tier 2 when they last raced side by side. No collision this time. Both keep it clean. Good on both of them for doing that on 2 different tires. Or sorry, 2 different tires between the 3 of them in the battle. 2 McLarens.
I'm watching these Inter runners to see if any of them spin, because there's not much grip out right now.
There's not. It doesn't seem like it's too bad, but it is getting to that time where it should be wet tires. It's just a matter of these guys staying out of inners. Is it going to dry back to inners? I say dry back, but we'll ease down to inners is probably the better term to use. Yes, Gecko's in. Red Fire and Mythic. Mythic. In a battle here, still in inners, you can see Red Fire just muscling past him, so you can see the difference there. Lennon getting by Zatsy, who both are on the inners.
As Jack continues to stay out.
Gonna lead a lap here if he can.
Will he take the lead? He won't lead the lap, but he will temporarily take the lead of the race.
Although it does look like wets, it doesn't look like the wets are that much faster yet. So...
Yellow flags.
Thought it was Bonkers, but it's Grandpa. Yeah. Cam is behind Hunted and using battery down the main straight because there's no DRS, trying to find a way past. He's got a lot more speed on those wets. He touches the back of him, and now down the inside, he's going to send it, go a little deep, push him to the curb. Didn't push him off, but argy-bargy by Cam gets the move done. Dunk-dunk battle again for P4. Here's Skither. Big move. Big lunge. Late on the brakes. Can he hold it? Yes. What a move.
Nice job from him.
What good timing. And now with Gecko, as Hunted gets a penalty, the gap between him and Owen is 4 seconds. The gap between Gecko and Jack is 0.8. And it's all going to be based on strategy, as the next car that Gecko has on wets behind him is Skither. And the gap is 15 seconds, so it's not much different because of the pit cycles. However, it will be a strategic race as Skither makes another lunge, this time on Lennon. Now, can a move be made for the lead? Here goes Gecko on Jack Miles, who continues to stay out. That's a big surprise there. Here is Gecko, breezing past for the race lead. No DRS, but still breezing past, though, due to the help of the overtake button.
Pretty no-brainer move. Maybe Jack let him go. Maybe he didn't. I don't think he has ace to hold him back on those intermediates.
Does Jack think he has nothing to lose and just staying out of inners, though?
It will
I
be
don't know.
interesting to see what happens, because he's not losing too terribly with the time. I think he's keeping it somewhat okay pace relative to Skizzer right now.
Invade. Blatant corner cut there. Zatsy overtaken by Cam. Beatnik's turn to try to do the same to Hunted. Does he go late in the brakes? Late. Oh, almost running the back of him. Slides the rears. That was close.
Keeps it on the track, but that was almost catastrophic for the Mercedes.
Could have gone to bad to worse for Hunted. Luckily it didn't. And Valk was there to watch that too. Probably hard to see for some of these drivers, but I wonder if they're on inners because they think it's going to hold up.
Invade
they can go to
side by side in a turn one on wets, one on inters. Bit of contact. Does Mythic have enough to get by Invade? Not sure he does on those inters. Although he's gonna go for it down the inside into turn 4. Really deep. Does not have enough grip on those inters.
Yeah.
Invade gets by.
You can see those guys on inters, Jack and Owen, now finally losing out. But the difference, though, is it will only help them if they're going to a new pair of inners, which could be soon for the track calming down. Zatsy gives up on this one, goes to the pit lane to make a change. Either way, gap between Gecko and Skither, the two drivers on wets, are 15.2, so the gap is staying just about the same. Not too much of a difference, but the only difference really becomes the drivers on wets and inners, though, is the big thing. As you can see, the lead 5.3 seconds, though, between Jack and Gecko. Good run, though, from Jack, nonetheless, even if he does stay here or not.
It's a pretty bold call to stay out this long for the people who are, I'd say. I don't see the rain lightening up anytime soon. At least I don't feel like it's going to. Especially with that bailing onto the wets, who's lost about 3 or 4 positions from it.
Yeah, I mean, no one's now in a closing range of one another. You're going to have to wait on mistakes to happen. And you're going to have to figure out, is a strategy for people like Jack and Owen going to work? Or, I mean, Jack still commits to it. It's the right thing. Why are you going to go to the pit lane when it's maybe more time to lose? Because Jack was, what, battling P3 with Owen? And if he goes to the pit lane now, he's coming out around Beatnik. And that's a really dumb decision if he were to do that.
It's not what you would want if you're him.
What Zatsy did, really. Lost more time. But he felt he was losing out so much that he pitted, I guess.
The gap from Jack to Skizzer is about 8 seconds right now. And Skizzer's rapidly closing on Owen, as you'd probably guess. So that's his battle right now for Jack. Can he stay ahead of Skizzer?
Well, I'll have to find out. We're past halfway in this race, of course, and we're coming toward the closing stages. This race started around 2:30, 2:40 Eastern time, 7:30, 7:40 UK time, with a restart being inbound from the first session. And it's been over an hour since then, and it will likely be a marathon to this finish, though, considering that it's just in probably the worst conditions it could be in here. Does it look like it's let up a little bit? Yes. Does it look like it's enough to go back to inners? Maybe. But some of these guys have already committed to their strategies, such as Jack and Owen. And speaking of Owen, he is under pressure from now. Skither, Owen, a Tier 2 champion multiple times. Skither, an F2 and Tier 2 champion multiple times. Here's the move being made. Inside line at turn 1. Give some space, guys. This gets hairy. However, Owen does remain out in front. Skither going to keep in behind. Being very careful not to hit the back of him. Beatnik also gets Owen with an easy move there. Skither using
really
the outside to go to the inside here and cut back. Again, love watching this guy race because he makes such good moves, such calculated timing, and he does it once again for P3 on those better tires. Amazing stuff from Skither, the American driver.
He has a clear shot to the Alfa Romeo driver ahead of him.
Jets have kicked the field goal. They're now 9-3, and they kicked it in the snow. How fun is that?
Womp,
Here, now, I'm glad we don't get snow in here, because I wonder what that would be like. Zatsy on the inside. Kipu. Side by side
wow,
pinching.
That was big.
Little too much pinching, maybe. Grandpa the lap car wanting to see some action because he's had a little bit too much action in the grass today himself. So he's now following suit. Zatsy staying ahead, though, of Kipu, as Kipu is on inners. So I think the inners are closer to the wets than they probably have been the last lap or two. I mean, it's only by maybe a couple tenths that I noticed that, but at the same time, it's not a lot because you can now see Cam also picking up a place on Owen. Owen using battery to try to get back past JNT. Is he going to do it? Oh!
Oh, no, he's
Cam
not going to do it
around!
because actually he's going to do it because he takes him out.
Unlike yesterday, he's still in this race from a big spin on the straight. Wow.
Did he spin by himself or did he get taken out?
Oh, he got tapped from Owen. That's for sure.
It's not going to
Cam
look
made a
good in the
move.
steward's office.
Was it too late? It
More
caused
yellows.
Owen to spin him.
That,
And yellows are for...
that's the leader. That is Gecko. I think he went around. Maybe. Yeah, he did.
You're right. HSR Gecko just spun right there. Both Ferraris in trouble in the last minute. The lead is now 7 seconds instead of 12.
That's
Those
also
wet
hurt his
tires are even a struggle now. Oh my lord.
Does Cam have any damage? I don't think he
thought
does.
Zenvort was crazy, but...
It's going to get interesting. Because
Yeah,
Cam
it
still
will.
has Owen in his sights.
This time Cam's the one behind,
my
more
God, he almost
sliding.
lost it.
Oh.
That was impressive that he tapped that.
See, when people realized the Chiller's Red Bull was available, Cam was asking for it, and Cookie was a little critical
More
of his friend,
contact
saying,
with-
"Oh,
Now they're
Inside of
they
where
are
we are.
they are having fun together.
yeah, a little too much."
Oh,
way.
that was beautiful.
Cab, maybe through, maybe not.
Maybe.
Finally,
I don't know.
yes. Owen hitting the polystyrene. I didn't say that right.
I don't know what happened there. All I know
he
is
got-
that Cam has gotten by Owen. That's the only oh my God, he almost took him out.
I think Owen was like, "I'm gonna break late here. I'm not too happy about that." Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something else. Skizzer has closed the gap on Jack to about 2.5 seconds, which is maybe two laps out from the overtake, I'd say. Probably losing about 1.2 a lap.
Skither just
what
had
I
a screen
saw.
freeze, I think.
Oh.
2 of them. Yeah. He just had 2 of them right there. Well, the gap was what? 10 seconds to the leader? It was 15
Well,
seconds
his gap
prior, so
to
you saw
Jack
that spin
was
from
5
Gecko cost
seconds,
him
but
5
now
seconds
it's not,
GNT.
and now he has Cam on him once
Yeah.
again.
The thing about these wet conditions is you could take such wider lines and it works out so much better than in the dry. And we're now 4/6 of the way into this race. 2/3 to put it simpler for those of you. Chat.
One driver who I'm looking at right
What's your
now,
predictions?
who's sitting about 6.5 seconds ahead of the next car, is Lennon, who's still not gone away from the inters. And he's sitting in P7 right now.
Yeah. more ahead of Valk than before, and someone who stayed quiet the second half of this race, and really for the last 20 laps is Bonkers, who
Bonkers and
makes the
Hunted,
move on
2 different
Hunted.
tires.
Yes, this is going to be crucial to see how Hunted can hold on or how much of a fight he puts up. And Vade picks up a time penalty as Bonkers does finally clear Hunted for what is
Look
P8.
at that understeer.
It's just terrible. You're not going to... I mean, I'm surprised Bonkers used battery there in that final bank corner of Galp, because you just can't always use that battery there, especially in these conditions. You got to be very careful about how you manage it.
Oh.
2 spins from the lead, by the way, as Beatnik gets Owen.
Beatnik
2
has
spins
got
from the lead
Owen.
by Gecko. I mean, that's just crazy to think about, the fact that the guy is still leading.
He's got
after
very
he's had
lucky
2
so
spins.
far. Very lucky.
you need to-
He's not only spun twice, but he had a safety car bail him out as well.
That's true. But he's had the pace to hold on, though, as well, himself.
In racing, you need to be lucky to win. And he's had all the luck so far.
I agree with that. I agree with that. You need that a lot here in RPL. You don't need unluckiness to win or not any luck to win. You do need some things to go your way. And that happens in all sports. So, RPL, a video game league, is one of them where you do need luck. And speaking of luck, I'm hoping Cam is... for himself is thinking of some luck to happen here.
Wow,
for his sake,
that was a...
because he
that
now
was-
has a second penalty. That is the tricky
Clobbered
part
the
about
curb.
it. Mythic also with 1-2. Only 5 drivers still remaining in this race, with just 20 laps to go, with no penalties. Yellow flags for a Red Bull, but that is likely Grandpa.
Rain has
It
eased
is.
off a lot. As you can see now on your screen, it might be time for the Inters once again. As
Not a whole lot,
yes,
but a little bit.
it
Yeah.
has eased off quite a lot if
Yeah.
you're on the T-cam.
I could see it. You can see it better from the onboard now that from the offboard as Grandpa goes into the pit
Probably
lane,
going to
and
retire.
his race I think is gonna be done. But yeah, you were saying though with that there's less than 20 to go, and yeah, you do need luck to win these races. And with Cam, he's sitting here P4, needing some luck for sure, because right now P4, 2 penalties. Yeah, good luck.
Gecko is in for the Inters.
There's your answer. Do others respond? Does Jack Miles for Alfa Romeo stay out?
Yes. So does
There's your
Skizzer
answer.
though, who wants to desperately get by Jack, and he does. He lets
Back
him
in the
go
lead of
because
this
he
race.
knows he might have to box.
Valk also behind Zatsy. 2 different strategies right there. Gecko gonna come out near Owen here. And the thing I will say about Gecko is he's really controlled this race really well, even though he spun twice. I know he controlled it earlier and then spun and then got the safety car, but even after that, he controlled it to where he had such a big lead to where he could spin. Now, you got to play the strategy game the right way and be on the right tires at the right time, as they always say, in order to win this race. And I'm hoping he's got the right strategy here for the sake of himself. And you can see already gaining a little bit on Owen.
I think he might have the right idea here. I'm going to be honest. I feel like it is time for the Inters, especially because Jack is sticking with Skizzer right now.
I spoke about Kipu and guys outside the points. How about Red Fire going to Inners? If you want to get points now, well, go with a strategy like the Inners before your competitors get to the pit lane. Yellow flags
Yellow
for
flag,
Bonkers.
second 3.
No,
Bonkers.
Grandpa.
No, never mind. It's not the Red Bull.
Thought it was Bonkers. Never mind. Sorry, Bonkers. Red Fire, 3-second. Close gaps between the leaders.
Skizzer bails.
One of them is
for
in.
the Inters.
Yep.
Jack reassumes the lead of the Portuguese Grand Prix.
I mean, Gecko kind of made him respond in a way too, and here's another car coming in. That is the AlphaTauri. Gecko now inside line on Owen. Owen's already collided with one Ferrari, and now the other
gonna let the
Ferrari
other one
goes
go.
past him. The thing is, you said how inners are faster, J&T, but you know this just as well. Us being Americans and a NASCAR fan, we always hear it a lot, but you hear it a lot too here in RPL and just in F1 in general, or racing in general. Valk, that was naughty, I saw that. If it's one thing catching these guys, it's another thing passing them, and Gecko is the pace, but you need to get past these guys just about as fast as you can.
Absolutely agree with you there. It is one thing to catch, but overtaking skills completely different from raw pace, and you really need to be calculated on how you set up your passes if you want to make it work. As Grandpa's dead again.
Not giving up just yet, though.
Jack is now pulling away from Cam, who's on the wet tires.
Hold on just a second. Valk got by Zatsy there. That's for the last point spot. Just wanted to keep everyone in touch with that as Curb gets jumped from Valk. Beatnik also on under, well, that's terrible. On a lot of pressure here from Gecko, excuse me. Do they pit, though? Not the top two, but
Cam
Beatnik
does
might.
not.
No.
He's only hurting himself, I think.
Yeah,
17 laps to go. I don't see how this works out unless it's going to dry up.
He does have a penalty, so, you know, you don't want to lose a lot of track position. That's for sure. But
Gecko is absolutely flying right now. He has caught Cam, and he is catching Jack at an absolutely crazy pace. He's already put 2 seconds on Beatnik.
I didn't ever think with the Formula Endurance tier being created, I thought teams like Alpine, I thought teams like McLaren, I thought teams like Aston Martin would lead races because the longer distance gives you a chance to show the guys in maybe not as good cars to show what they're capable of as Scythe or Skither gets Lennon. It will really show who's capable of what in what car and can do whatever they can in 100% and keep their cool, keep the race together, and just keep the car on the track and do what you normally can in a 50% race and put the full thing together. And I will say, when this tier was created, I did not expect an Alfa Romeo to be leading the race with 15 laps to go, almost on pure pace, and now the swap is done with Cam and Gecko. There's your answer there on that. But yeah, I don't know what the difference is with wets and inners here, but I am feeling really concerned here in this way for some of these guys staying out, though. And
Cam
find out what happens.
realizing that's not working out, going into the pits. Oh,
Speeds
the interview.
again.
Speeds.
That's the second time. Cam,
Race is falling apart.
lots of respect to Cam, though, J&T, for having great pace in this league and really showing a lot of promise. But he was one who was asking for a Red Bull seat when the Chiller had his contract terminated for Red Bull after not meeting the TP clause in the first 4 races. And Cam was one who was DMing a good friend of his, Cookie, fellow American, asking for the Red Bull seat. And Cookie kind of was critical, like I was saying earlier, about the fact that
Bunkers.
he can't put together a full race here.
It.
Yes. Ghosted, I saw. We'll get to that in just a second. I'll let you get to that.
Oh, yeah, wet tires. Wet tires. Rears are overheating.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Cam was asking for that Red Bull, and, you know, Cookie was critical, saying he hasn't really put a full race together here. And in a way, or, well, without front wing damage, right? And in a way, that is true. You can now see it. Owen getting Beatnik with ease because Beatnik is still staying out on those wet tires. It's definitely time for inners now if you hadn't done so already. There's 3 of them still on it.
Even though Jack had that strategy, he stayed out for so long. He's going to fall into the clutches of Gecko in just a few laps' time.
Well, as Beatnik was thinking about coming in, he's just pulling to the right side now on the main straight, and now the lead gets close.
Do that thing where he's getting water on his tires.
Yeah, would be in real life. One score update, by the way, in the games. Buccaneers beat the Panthers 9-0. That's final, and we're about to get a final result underway in 15 laps. Here's Gecko, looks to take the race lead back that he once had. Jack Miles, the Academy teammate, not going to give it up too easily, though, because he has the track position. You could see what he's doing. He's being a little bit of a blockage, but more so for the sake of himself, and you know he won't battle his teammate too hard here for the race lead as Bunkers. Pits, comes out of the pits, and now Gecko takes back that race lead he once had.
overall great weekend from Gecko, I must say. Podium in Alfa Romeo, Japan in Tier 2. Amazing pace today. Spun twice and is still leading.
Skither on the back of Beatnik, two fellow Americans who don't have the cleanest history together on the track. Bonkers lagging out.
Lags out.
Do make a clean move on one another. Good to see there.
Oh,
Pitting his Bonkers.
He stopped.
Oh, that is not good. We'll
the
get him back
saying
in.
he's in the pits.
We'll get him back in. I've seen that glitch. Remember when that happened to Rowdy TJ Boy? Disqualified.
He got disqualified. Okay. Wow. Great game.
Was not worth the invite back then, I guess.
Oh.
Maybe he will be frustrated with that.
He's gonna join and he's gonna see that. He's gonna be so mad.
Bonkers, if you are streaming, I'd like to see your reaction. I would not be happy either.
I'm sorry, Bonkers. That sucks.
I know. It's unfortunate. Jack Miles, obviously on those inners, it has paid off quite well. 23 laps.
It is
Same with
very
Owen.
much drying up right
This
now.
is the exact reason
and I believe
they went with that
the
strategy.
rain has stopped.
Ooh. Grandpa speeds, by the way. Just to put that out there. With that said, JNT now, we can definitely see why Jack Miles and Owen went for the strategy. Same with Lennon. Also Hunted, Valk, Kippu, and Mythic, some names to put in the box as well that did this. And we could say they did it for a good reason.
I agree.
They're in really good pursuit now.
As Cam gets by his academy teammate of Lennon, who's doing a great job still out there in the half.
Whoa!
Whoa! League overtake, maybe? There was a caution in that sector, I think.
Maybe. Yes, Grandpa 3-second, by the way, while that happened. Does anybody come into winners? We'll find out.
By.
Owen and Skither, yes. Final sector, final corner.
He's gonna fight it, though.
Well, they went side by side. Now to turn one, they try to go side by side. Doesn't work out, though. Nice, neat little battle here for P3. Owen does have that penalty to spare, but 11 seconds up the road is Jack.
It's not like giving up without a fight, Owen, but looks like this one he's going to have to concede.
Two more final scores, JNT. The Bengals beat the Browns 31-14, and Titans beat the Jaguars 28-20. Yellow flags now. It's for Valk, but she didn't spin. Unless I'm not aware of something. Yeah, fair play to Jack pulling out the strategy, you know. Try something different to try to win the race. And I think the gap between him and Gecko, when this all started out, was maybe similar to what it was. So if he went for something else, then...
No, he's definitely gained time on him. It's a great strategy call from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Gecko's been so good, though, so...
DRS is now enabled, but that doesn't necessarily mean the track is dry yet.
Hey, it took a lot for it to get... Well, it didn't take a lot for it to get wet, but it might take a lot for it to get fully dry, enough for dry tires.
Jack
2-1 from Red Fire Tiger. Whoa, that's late lunch.
Grandpa's
from
out.
Him.
Oh.
That's in the pit lane, I think, though.
Okay,
That'll cause yellow flags in the main straight, so when these guys get to it, they won't be able to overtake. But Red Fire, though, making the most of his opportunities. He's into the points. Beatnik also being overtaken. It looks like it's almost enough for dry tires. Here's Jack.
It is dry.
In before Gecko.
Dry.
Beatnik about to speed, locks up the brakes, gets lucky with that. And the first one to soft tires looked to be either Invader or Jack. So smart from them. Smart moves from them.
Jack.
It did take less than a minute maybe for it to get fully wet. Haunted speeds. And it took a little over a minute, JNT, for it to get dry enough for dry tires.
I think...
Double stacks, by the way.
I think Gecko will be okay here. He has enough time.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of push without spinning, though. This is the time where he can't spin. I want to see how he enters this pit lane. Does he speed? Does he not? Does he go cautious, though, considering he's on inners? Remember, he doesn't have a lot of battery compared to Jack Miles, though. Keep that in mind. He does pit within reason. Doesn't speed. But did take it a little careful, though, because he was down to almost 37 miles per hour, that is. And I do expect Jack here to be within 5 seconds here. If he's not, that will definitely be a disappointment. Gecko with a slightly slower stop by a couple of tenths due to Cam just recently pitting for softs. The only difference here with everybody on these dry tires is Red Fire Tiger is on mediums. We'll switch off the tires now since everyone's on softs, but keep that in mind as Red Fire's on the mediums.
Jack is going to be, say, similar gap. Gain a little bit of time, about 3.5 seconds back.
Look at that. The sun has come out. And 3.1. 5-second gap to 3.1. If Gecko spins again, we could see an Alfa Romeo win tonight.
That would be crazy. Something to note, though.
Scenes.
Skizzer, who was incredibly quick in the dry earlier, is now released on soft tires. Pole sitter on softs, low fuel. I wonder if he can catch Jack. It might be too much of an ask. But I wonder.
The good thing for anybody who pitted right there or had penalties for speeding, besides Hunted, who did speed in the pit lane, is they did serve those penalties, as we have 5 DNFs in this race, 2 Red Bulls, an Alpine
Skizzer,
Academy car.
3-second
That's
penalty.
not good.
That is probably taking any chance of any hope of him getting any better than 3rd in this race.
Well, I think he's going to, and this is my personal opinion, I'm going to leave it up to the stewards because it was his fault from the way I saw it at least, but I'll leave it up to the stewards fully as Jack sets the fastest lap on those softs. We'll see what anyone else can do in a little bit, but the good thing for Skidder, in my opinion, as he sets fastest lap, keep doing that, pull away, pull a 3-second gap over 10 seconds, so 13 seconds on Owen by the end of this race. Therefore, you save yourself from being worse than 3rd in this race after that collision with Bunkers earlier on.
Big wiggle from Skizzer, though. Not what you need to do if you're trying to pull away.
It's just a smart thing to do because you know what? If for some reason Owen can gain a gap or, I don't know, it's a 10-second time penalty instead of a 5, you at least have a good gap here. And now that he has a track limit penalty, again, we have 6 drivers in this race without penalties. That would be the great thing for him to do, JNT, and Cam gets by Beatnik.
Oh, he almost got crossed up there. A little close.
Just 10 laps remaining for HSR Gecko. Cam having Beatnik have a sniff up his rear. Little close to contact there. Keeping it clean, though, for the most part. I mean, this is where the Alfa Romeo is going to lose out. The dry conditions completely. Now it's just Jack Miles with his experience here in RPL to hold on. I don't care if you're trying to hold on, you know, on track with Scyther or not, but hold on with a reasonable gap. Therefore, Gecko can't spin and, you know, end up keeping the lead again. He spun and only lost 5 seconds the last time. And he spun already twice this race. One he got bailed out by, the other one he ended up just having a big enough lead to where he could keep himself in front. This time if he spins, I don't think he keeps himself in front, JNT.
I don't think he does either, and especially with its soft tires, tire wear from spinning, it'd be even more. It would hurt him a lot if he spun. He'd lose a spot, and he'd lose maybe even a chance of repassing.
Well, I think I do have some more score updates if you want to hear them. I believe the Falcons and Saints game is final. 48-17. Saints win over the Falcons. And we're on board with Beatnik, who likes the same team I do, the Minnesota Vikings, and I think he's going to have to hear some pain here after this race that there's going to be no playoffs this year for the Minnesota Vikings, losing 30-20 over the Lions with 2 minutes remaining. And we said 2 minutes remaining in that game. Well, it looks to be about 20 minutes remaining in this race if there's a safety car, but only 1 safety car this race, so pretty clean for the most part. 4 DNFs, 1 disqualification. Scyther Skither next takes the fastest lap.
He is incredibly quick, as I said earlier. So quick in the dry. Maybe if he didn't have that penalty and didn't have that incident, maybe could get Jack, but I just don't think with all these factors against him that even if he does pass him, I don't think he's going to be P2.
We said this race has went on for long enough. Well, guess what? Oh, I've lost game sound. Hold on. Should be good. Oh, I've lost game sound. Can we do it with the rest of this race without game sound? I don't know. Should we? There's nothing happening now, but I don't want to miss the action.
You can see the cars. You can make the car
We
sounds.
can.
Thank you all for watching. It's been a great stream, but we're gonna have to go offline.
No, we're not. No, I will say with how long, I don't know why I randomly lost game sound, but you know what? That actually happened to Bonkers too. You know what? Remind me, for those of you who saw that, I'll Twitch clip it and I'll add it to out of context RPL moments. I think it's kind of funny. I don't know. I'm not trying to feed everything into there, but you know, we do get some weird moments with this game, and I think we've got just about all of it today, except for me lagging out of the session, which I had happen yesterday. No, the one thing I was going to say, JNT, is that this race has gone on so long that the attendance is scheduled for 2 hours after the event starts. It's already been posted for next week, just 7 minutes ago.
Cam from 5th is around in the Ferrari.
No, Cam, why? You know, I really don't understand it. This guy has such good pace. This guy just can't put together a full race. I don't get it. 3, 4 spins now. How many spins has this guy had? Ferrari have been an absolute disaster class, but one of them might go on to win. I mean, Gecko's had 2. Cam's had like 3 or 4. It's insane.
The
Red Bull,
Ferrari
by the way,
master
won't score any
plan.
points today too.
Red Bull
Just to put
out
that,
of the points, both of them
yeah,
DNF'd.
just to put that into perspective, JNT. I mean, AlphaTauri, they have both cars outside the points. Williams, both cars outside the points. I mean, they're gonna stay. Haas, sorry, have 1 inside the points. Excuse me. So Haas will actually overtake them. I meant Williams outside the points, which was just ahead of them. Haas is going to overtake him, and Red Bull might be 9th in the constructors. Did not expect that to be the case here in Formula Endurance, but some unlucky stuff though, because Bonkers would have had a few points. Do you have game sound at least?
I do.
Okay, I don't. I'm keeping it this way because I don't want to lose anything with like 6 laps to go. At least chat. There's 5 of you viewing. Tell us if you're okay with no game sound.
It's fine. Don't try and change it.
I'm sure they're okay with it. No, but that's really unprecedented. Red Bull with, you know, barely any points to start the season. 3
Yellow
three
flags. We have an Aston Martin spun. That is Zatsy from 12th.
I was a little worried it was Owen. But, yeah, outside the points. Kipu, main straight, DRS. Contact! Zatsy speeds, but these two make contact, and Red Fire concedes the places. Kipu's now, as I said, Kipu was running outside the points, and he has a chance to take it, and he has done that. And you're right, Zatsy did retire, either giving up with rear wing damage or whatever it may be.
Could get Valk and Hunted, I think. Maybe.
Fair point, possibly. Because Hunted, with the amount of penalties, could be seeing maybe more.
Not.
I don't know.
That
He's got 14 seconds. Yeah, well, also Kipu is 3 seconds, so never mind. You're right about that.
I didn't think it was 24 seconds.
Well, Alfa Romeo will have a good day in the constructors with, you know, Jack Miles here, P2. They'll likely overtake Aston Martin, I'd be expecting, just in front of them. Alpine is a maybe. Doubt it, though. Would need a little bit more from Red Fire to do so, and it would be Kipu being outside the points with that happening. McLaren have both cars inside the points, so they're going to be battling Mercedes still for second. And it looks to be Ferrari after today if they can just hold on for 5 more laps here. For the race victory, they'd be extending the lead in the Constructors' Championship, which, to think about that with a 1-7, not too bad. And I'll get you one more final score here in just a moment. After Red Fire and Kipu calm down here. Kipu still remaining ahead. 8.6 for the lead now, by the way. Final score in the Vikings and Lions game. Lions win 30-20 over the Vikings. And Kipu ahead. Red Fire to the breaking point, just close. Jets beat the Patriots 17-3, by the way. Yeah, he's on mediums, yep. And that's it for the first games. Final scores done. So, yeah, there you go. Hey, at least if the Vikings don't make the playoffs, I'm hoping for the Bills to do so. You know what? I hope people don't really care about me talking about American football on the stream too much. You know, some may be interested, some may not be, but just good to note for after this race when I'll be watching the rest of those games. And yeah, you could see now that Jack Miles, by the way, JNT is losing out to Gecko so much that Skither has caught up, and he's got some really good pace in this final stint here on dry tires. I'm sure Jack Miles is aware Skither has caused a collision already and would be getting a penalty later on if it's getting reported, but I'm sure Jack Miles would like to hang on for a little bit longer, no doubt about it.
I think he'd like to take it on track, but at some point he's just gonna have to give it up. And I think that'll
I think
probably come either next lap or the lap after that. Just
the three driver
cannot
day
defend
contenders for
from that
me.
speed.
Yeah, here we go. Move being made. Nope, not yet. Now we switch back to Skither and Jack, which is close once again, with just a couple laps remaining. Jack Miles, a good shout for driver of the day. Gecko, a good shout. Lennon, a good shout. Here's a good shout for Skither to make the move. He's done this once before by taking that compromised line. This time, he's got the outside line on the run toward turn 4 here.
Whoa,
now,
late,
Ricciardo style,
very
Italy
late.
2014, this reminds me of. Switcheroo, inside line, pulled the dummy, and got the move done. Skither, once again, some amazing overtakes from this guy.
That was a great move down in the turn 5.
Love watching him
Really
race. I
caught
really
him
do.
off
The F2
guard.
days showed it. F1 days showed it a little bit more. And then this tier, I mean, he's just trying to make up for the incidents he's caused by making some really good moves and showing, I'm not a dirty driver, guys. And he's not. He's not at all. He's really showed what his true potential here is in RPL. He's a really fast driver. He's a really clean driver in wheel-to-wheel combat. We saw in F2, Reese and Skither in the final closing races of F2 before it, was called off for another season. 18 seasons in RPL, F2 was done. This kind of being the tier to replace it. Skither had some really good battles with Reese Dainty, showing he's a clean driver, and he's not like this in other tiers. It's just Formula Endurance, I guess, that's caught him out in some moments where he's had trouble following people, gets into some collisions, but now with just a couple laps remaining, in case nothing gets reported, Jack Miles is just hoping to stay within 3 seconds, and I think it is doable without any mistakes.
He's still within DRS range, so it is probably very doable for him, I'd say.
Jack did use his battery, though, to stay ahead of Skither, so they're both now below 15%. Only other battle on the racetrack is Kipu and Red Fire Tiger. Red Fire Tiger, by the way, has 6 seconds on penalties, just hoping to maybe force Kipu into getting a 6 second here, because this is the only way that Alfa Romeo can be equal with Alpine in the constructor standings after 3 rounds. But yeah, with that being said, we look now at the stops people have made. Grandpa made 8 stops this race. The top 2 made 5 stops. Cam 5 stops. Some made 3 stops. But now Skiz has left the session, so some more issues here for some of the drivers having either connection problems or game problems. Penultimate lap now underway. I mean, I will say, I really find it hard who to give it to in terms of driver of the day. I think Jack Miles has put up a worthy performance. 1.7 now to Skither.
My driver of the day is definitely, I think, Lennon. He's had a great race, but I have to give it to Jack if I had to pick. I think that strategy call, staying out on the inters as long as he did, keeping it right up at the front almost the entire second half of the race, it's very, very impressive that he was able to do that.
Yeah, I think
especially
regardless, I would. Yeah, I would probably give mine to Jack as well. I think Lennon and Gecko would round out my top 3. Funny enough, how they're all Ferrari Academy drivers, though, have had standout performances today in a weekend where they really didn't show anything in Tier 2 or F1 Tier 1. And Gecko now is about to come onto the final lap here. In Tier 1 of RPL, he's had a couple of podiums to his name. If we want to be exact here with Gecko, he's had 10 of them. And Jack now almost losing out to Scyther here by a lot. But with that being said about Gecko, he's had 10 total Tier 1 podiums, and one of those came in Portimao in the first ever race here. And guess what car that was in? A Ferrari. He's in that red Scarlet Ferrari again today as Hunted picks up a 3-second time penalty, just hoping with 2 sectors now remaining that he can keep it on the track, keep it clean, and be smooth sailing on the way to victory. 4 tenths off his first time in the first sector, so he's still pushing a little bit, but Gecko has really put on a clinic today, no doubt about it.
Yeah, has to be said. Great pace from him. 2 spins, but his pace has been so commanding that he's been able to keep it out front for most of the race. Got lucky with that safety car to get back in command, but ever since then, he has really not let go.
We'll switch to Beatnik and Owen, who continue to battle for P4 further on back. That will be crucial later on. However, HSR Gecko is coming to Gulp Corner, the final corner, and he has spun twice already this race. Once you could say he got bailed out. The second time, he had the skill to hold on. He had the gap to hold on. He's going to spin and win here in RPL, something that hasn't been done a lot, but he's going to do it today, winning the Portuguese Grand Prix over 10 seconds over Skither's second place runner. Jack Miles, P3. Now the fight continues for fourth place. Owen and Beatnik now are in the action. This is going to be a DRS run all the way to the finish line.
Owen has
Both
more
similar
battery.
straight line speed. Beatnik less on the battery. Owen using it too. But now it's all come down to the 66th lap between Team Principal Beatnik. Owen, the Mercedes driver who's held on well in Tier 2, will hold on for P4 in Aston Martin today. Lennon, a worthy shout out for Haas. Will come home
Great
P6.
result.
Invade and Skiz have also crossed the line already. Hunted, lots of penalties to his name. P9 on track. Valk, not the best showing today for Mercedes, but she had some really clean battles, though, which is, I would say, more consistent than what we've seen before. Invade and
Especially
Mythic,
with
by the
Lennon.
way, trading spots, I guess.
Oh, it's close. It's going to be
But,
so close for 10th. Look at that.
yes, it will. Look at this. 2.9,
2.9,
2.9 still.
2.98, 3.0.
3.0. And Red
I
Fire
think Red
does
Fire
hang on to the
barely
last
got
point.
him at the line.
He
Yes,
did.
he did.
24,000 some penalties. Well, what a race on our hands today. Some drivers also complaining they had no sound in the last couple laps as well.
Game just broke.
Yes, it did. And here are the drivers on the podium finally celebrating when they get to. HSR Gecko had a really great race on Friday for Alfa Romeo. He's on the podium with another Alfa Romeo. It's Jack Miles, the new team principal of Ferrari. HSR Gecko has some wins to his name in RPL throughout the tiers. Now he can say he's a Formula Endurance winner. Ferrari have been on podium in all 3 races so far this season. The only team to do it. They've been strong once already. They're going to be strong once more. And they lead the constructors coming out of today. McLaren Skither on the podium. If it's not going to be P2, it surely will be P3 for him after we go through any post-race storage room penalties. So still a nice showing from Skither. Even though it wasn't the most cleanest race from him, he still steals another point by fastest lap. Jack Miles is my driver of the day, though. Easily right there. From P10 on the grid, not the best qualifying for Alfa Romeo, but a good shock, though, to be inside that top 10 considering how close our qualifying was. And Jack Miles is one of those 5 drivers in this race who kept it penalty-free by the end. And now I finally get game sound, but here are your final results with that being said now on your screen.
Great showing, I'd have to say, from Jack, Owen, and Lennon. Very hard to say. Honestly, I'd say it's close to driver of the day between them. They all had great performances.
Well, Alfa Romeo gets a podium twice in one weekend. I don't know the last time that's happened, but fair play with Jack Miles here for Alfa Romeo. We headed back to Baku for Tier 1 on the weekend we did, where Jack Miles took a podium for Baku in the Season 9 race in Tier 1. He takes a podium here this weekend during the Season 10 weekend of Baku in Tier 1, just to Formula Endurance. So, very interesting scenes there from Jack. Final thoughts on the race, JNT?
Say overall, pretty good racing. Some points got a little iffy. Some big contact, couple big talking points. McLaren and Ferrari collisions and spins. But other than that, it's been honestly pretty good race. Valk and Lennon, they were battling for about 20 laps there. I'd say that was really nice to see. A lot of good battles overall, I'd say. Pretty entertaining race. Pretty good.
Yes, and if you want to tune in a more entertaining racing here in RPL, make sure you are here next week for more of the action here. It is going to be round number 4 for Formula Endurance. We are going to be in Spain. That shall be interesting to find out what happens in that race next week as well. We stay around the EU area for that action, as well as some more action throughout the rest of the tiers. Tier 2 is Singapore. That's the next one on Friday, and Tier 1 in Miami on the Saturday. Make sure you tune into RPL throughout all of the socials. Our username is the same, and we hope to see you there for the next time we race here in RPL Formula 1. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. Thank you once again, J&T Gaming, for joining me. It was a pleasure to have you
It
for
was a
today's
pleasure to be
amazing
on.
event. Glad that you were here for the thrills, the spills, the chaos, and the driver of HSR Gecko held on after spins to win in Portimao. Until next time, folks, we'll see you for the next stream. Have a good night.